If you want to pump your body and expand your mind, there's only one place to go. Mind Pump. Mind Pump with your hosts, Sal DiStefano, Adam Schafer, and Justin Andrews.
Doug, I got to do this old school style. In this motherfucking episode of the Mind Pump,
shit!
This show was recorded in front of a live studio audience.
Where are they?
Yeah.
Yes.
Episode 1000. Look, for the first 50 minutes, we do our
Right
fun
on cue,
time
guys. Thanks.
conversation. This is before we get into the fitness stuff, or the questions, I should say. So here's what we talked about for the first 50 minutes. Justin gives us a rundown of his Thunderbird ride.
Yeah.
He went up in the jet and almost died.
It was an epic story that Adam kept jacking.
We talked about the Airbnb
Tell it better, bro.
hidden camera problem. Apparently, people are spying on each other through Airbnb rentals. We talked about how
Creepy.
Monsanto had to pay somebody $80 million. Apparently, he had cancer from using glyphosates or spraying his property with glyphosates.
Weird.
Yeah, you hear that, Lane? Then we talked about
Interesting.
Reese's peanut butter cups. They're reversing them. Is that what's going on, Adam? You got peanut butter on the outside?
My head's going to explode.
What the hell's going on here? We talked about the Cardinals. I think that's a baseball team. Cell phone.
It is. There's a baseball team too. You're all right there.
Okay, breaks. This is where. Am
That's
I
not
wrong?
what we're talking about, though.
Son of a bitch. Anyway, during practice, they give them breaks so they could check their Instagram accounts on cell phone. Poor guys.
What world are we living in?
Then we talked about the new cryptocurrency from Facebook. Say what? We talked about the guy who stole $75 million from Facebook and Google. What? How? He just asked them, hey, give me this money, and it worked.
He's like, here, I'm billing you.
Is that really stealing?
Yeah, maybe not. Then we talked about Adam's new hobby. He's rowing. That's right. He's using a rower. Are you becoming a cardio queen?
Maybe.
Maybe.
Yeah.
And then here's what we did. We have our live studio audience. These are people we hand-selected to come attend this live 1,000 episode event. And each of them got a chance to ask us a question. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to run through these questions real fast. There's about 14 of them. Here's what we talked about. Somebody asked us what we would talk about if we did a TED Talk. I would do one. Justin Adams said they wouldn't. We talked about advice we'd give to our 20-year-old selves. Wear a condom. We talked about the most surprising outcomes since starting Mind Pump. We talked about how to program for self. In other words, how to design workouts for yourself. We talked about the next Mind Pump mission. What are we doing next after we accomplish all of our goals? We talked about
Conquer the world.
our greatest influencers and mentors. We talked about our individual legacies. Adam wants a arena filled of people attending his funeral. Then we answer the question, will people ever switch from focusing on aesthetics to general health? By the way, MAPS Aesthetic is on sale. Then we talked about how to avoid spreading yourself too thin in business. We talked about the next 1,000 episodes. What are those going to look like? Somebody asked us, will personal trainers be replaced by technology? Robot, trainer, do it.
Yes, 5 more burpees.
Excellent.
Dad joke. I don't know.
Somebody asked us how to handle clients that are not motivated. You just punch them, makes them do everything. The difficult times that we're
not a good idea.
grateful for. Justin talks about time he cried in the shower. And our biggest fear and how we overcame them. Also, I'd like to tell everybody right now, listen, if you're listening to this episode when it drops, these are the final hours. Lucky for you, there's only a few hours left, but you get to get MAPS Aesthetic for 50% off. It's half off. That's a huge discount, by the way. MAPS Aesthetic is the program designed for people who like to sculpt their bodies to make them look better, more aesthetic. It was designed by Adam, Justin, and myself with bodybuilders, physique competitors, and bikini competitors in mind. It's an advanced program, a lot of volume. It's a lot of fun. Here's what you do to get the discount. Go to mapsfitnessproducts.com and use the code BLACK50, BLACK50. Now, look, if you're somebody who's not too interested in bodybuilding type training, but you want other types of programs, we have other MAPS programs available. And if you're super serious, we have something called the Super Bundle, which is a year of expert exercise programming. Again, if you want to look at those programs or get 50% off MAPS Aesthetic with the code BLACK50, just go to mapsfitnessproducts.com. So did I tell you guys what happened with Enzo outside?
I saw him washing the windows.
Yeah, so Doug's like, wash the windows out there, the big thing with the squeegee or whatever. And the kid had no idea what was going on. He'd never done manual labor in his entire life, so I had to help him wash the windows.
I noticed he has no calluses on his little pretty hands.
No. I want to hear about your
I have been waiting all day to talk about this.
organ squeezing.
Dude.
It's funny. People need to know this. So we come in this morning, right, to set up and everything. And I was the first one here. Justin walks in, and I'm like, hurry up and tell me before Adam
I
gets
didn't
here.
even want to tell you, but you like dragged it out of me.
Told me the whole story. Then he had to keep it a secret so that Adam could hear it during the podcast.
Yeah, I haven't heard any of this. It's been driving me crazy all day long because I feel so jealous that he got to go do it and I didn't go up with him. And I'm like, you got to get me in there next time. Sal says, oh, you might want to talk to Justin first.
Yeah. Well, I mean, to talk about this, like we got approached by Major Jason Markson, and he's a fan of the show. He listened to the show. They actually ran some of our programs, Maps, Performance, and with him and one of his other pilots too. And they both like just loved Mind Pump, and they became fans. And so they reached out to us and were like, hey, any of you guys want to go up in an F16 fighter jet?
Hell no.
Hell yes.
Right?
Hell
that
yes.
was my first. I'm like, dude, of course.
I was like, oh, man.
Why wouldn't you?
You can only take one? Dang.
Yeah.
Justin.
Yeah, you were pulling for yourself.
Dude, you
there.
did. Tell them about the whole process. You get there and they do this whole, because you didn't fly till 3, but you got there at like.
Yeah, no, I got there at like 12:15, and they debrief you for like a couple hours. Like I had a few different sergeants kind of take me into a room and like do this whole safety protocol, and so they're like trying to break down like all these like little nuances of how to put on this G suit. So
Did it fit real? It looks snug.
no,
in the
dude.
picture.
His ass didn't fit in.
No, man. Like these guys are skinny. Like, you know, like no disrespect, but like there was actually I take that back. There was one of the
They
guys
had to
there.
cut holes in it. Yeah.
Yeah, one of the guys there was just like this yoked competitor, I guess, and he's another guy that was listening to Mind Pump, and so
That's my guy.
Yeah, that's your guy, right?
Actually, it
funny
is your
story
guy.
about this, actually, Adam. So anyway, they did their research to find out like who I was, because I'm kind of a big deal. So they Googled me. And they found your picture.
That's how cool I
Like,
am.
what the fuck?
People
And he's
Google
like,
you, they
oh,
get
this
me.
guy's buff. Cool. We'll have a lot in common or whatever. And then he saw that, like, who I was. And he's like, oh, no, this is him.
Oh, the other guy.
It's like,
That's what they said. He shows up.
oh, like,
oh,
he's
the
like-
other
like,
guy.
yeah. Like, yeah, I guess you work out or whatever. Cool.
So what's debriefing? What are they telling you? What, you can't push the red button, right? I'm assuming you can't do that.
Yeah, well, no, there's just so many things that you have to cover, to cover their asses for one. Just to like kind of show me how everything works and how to like buckle everything, and then like what happens if you do it wrong, and like all these different things, like what it does. So it has like a bladder inside these pants that actually will compress your legs to make sure that the blood goes back
With
up towards your brain.
Fluid?
No, it's
What's-
just air. Like it's
okay.
air that shoots in through this little hose,
Like old school MC Hammer pants?
No, dude, they squeeze his legs
No,
because
dude, it was
when
like
you-
a corset.
when you're hitting G's, that the blood comes out of your brain.
How the fuck do you know?
I did. I looked it up.
You watched Top Gun twice. He
Yeah.
also becomes a fucking expert on it.
Actually, we
I
were
looked it
talking.
up.
Doug and I were talking.
I
With him,
read
and
the
he's like,
PubMed
Sal
on
was
it.
actually pretty like spot on with his G.
Isn't that weird?
Definite. And I didn't want to tell you that, but he was contesting you there. So
Yeah,
I felt like I had. To
I was right again.
Back you up there.
So you did like what 9 point something G's?
9.3.
Well, tell him the whole thing. So you go up there.
So I'm going
He's
to.
a terrible storyteller.
It's okay. We got
You
to
guys
talk.
are fucking hijacking me,
In
dude.
beginning, middle.
No, I'm right in the beginning, and you guys
you had
are taking
all
it
day
all
to
these other
practice
places.
this. You had all day to
I
practice
think
this
after
story.
1,000 episodes, you let me like finish my story.
All right.
You know what I mean?
Go. All right, go. Let's see.
So I'll hyper speed this for you since you guys have like no attention.
No,
span.
I'm right. Debriefing. Come on.
Yeah,
They
so I'm
telling you about the
debriefing.
buckles, what you can and can't do.
Right. So then we get into finally like let's just hyper speed to like where I'm about to get on the plane, and like I'm going through this whole process where everybody's lined up. So they made this big production out of it, and like everybody's out there and they have all these like cool handshakes you're supposed to do with them. You know how awkward I am with handshakes, right? I fucked it up like the first guy.
You did?
Yes. I was like, no. Like that was like my only, like I was trying in my head. I was like, they gave me too many options. So like you can do like a fist bump. You could do like a high five. You
Wait a
could
second.
shake.
You had to think of the handshake you were going to do before you got out of there?
Yeah, because, okay, there's a line of the guys before I get to the airplane. And they're all like, so the pilot before me, he's doing all these handshakes with them, all these cool things. And I was like, oh,
Like
what am I going to do?
NBA warm-up stuff? Or they're
Yeah,
doing
yeah,
like,
exactly.
Oh, okay.
All that stuff and like, hey, and like little slaps on the butt, whatever. And so I'm going through and I'm like, okay, I'm going to give him like a little like high five slap and then maybe like a fist bump. Like,
the
like a
the SoCal handshake.
What the hell was I thinking? Like a double thing?
Yeah.
No.
Too much.
Fucked it up. I was like slap, and then he was like, ah. Like, what was that? so I had to warn everybody else.
We're not even in the jet.
I'm not even in the jet yet.
Already shit's going wrong.
I ruined it, right? And I'm like trying to make up for it.
Nerves are going like crazy.
Oh yeah. I was like, oh no, like I started like turning a little bit, and so I get through everybody else. I'm like, I warn them. I'm like, okay, high five then bump, high five then bump, and I'm like saying it as I'm going down the line, just to warn them. I don't want to screw it up. And so then I stand in front of it, and then you actually have to put the pants on right there before you get on the plane because you can't fucking walk in those things. Like, it's so tight, and it took me like forever to put on. Of course, the pilot puts it on.
Wait,
in like
you're walking
2 minutes.
out and high five fist bump.
High five fist
no
bump.
No pants on?
No, I had a jumpsuit on, and these pants go over those.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I know. Boom.
Great storytelling.
Yeah,
Keep going.
Yeah,
Justin, he was trying to paint the picture in his head.
I was. I'm like,
he had a different idea.
I did. So now I get to the pants on. I get into the plane. The plane is like the most like confined space I've ever been in. Right. So there's nowhere for me to even like move and shift my weight or anything. Like I probably had a centimeter gap between my thighs like this.
It's not made for cakes, right?
No.
Is it not comfortable at all?
No, I mean, I like wedged it. Once I got in, I was like wedged.
Oh, God, I feel like a coffin.
I was just like, okay. But I actually felt, comfortable and because I knew like I needed like a hug. I needed like everything to like stay there.
Like a thunder vest?
Yeah, it was like a thunder vest. I'm like,
where's the ejection seat button?
Right between my legs.
Oh, wow.
Like my piece kept hitting it and it was like, it was bad.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
I was like really nervous that I was going to hit it too hard.
Yeah, so what's going through your head right now? Are you scared to death yet? Or are you like getting excited? Like after they debriefed you, do they calm you down or does it make it worse?
So the day before I was really nervous. I had like
I know we saw
anxiety.
Yeah.
Next day, no. Like it was weird. I was like way too confident. Like not like I should have been scared.
It's all the Top Gun Iron Eagle videos.
Yeah, I was like pumping myself up, doing all this like movie watching. And
his call name was Porkins, he said.
Yeah.
Like Star Wars.
They gave that to me at the end. Yeah, they make little acronyms for this and then write it.
I saw they painted your name on the fucking jet.
Yeah.
Bro, that's cool.
Yeah, that threw me off. I was like, whoa, my name's on here? Like, I didn't do anything. What the fuck am I doing here? Like, you guys are...
The Brad Pitt of podcasting. Kidding me?
I mean, I do have that.
Yeah.
I got that kind of street
cred.
cred.
So you're starting to calm down. You get in. You got everything locked in.
Does he just take the...
Is there like
take off?
Is there code words they say before the thing drops down? Like, what happens? Is it all silent?
No, he's like he was being funny. He's like hands and feet inside the cockpit, and like it like lowers down the canopy. And so it was funny because Major Jason was a fan, like I was just talking shit to him like the whole time. And I'm like, dude, let's listen to like Metallica or something, like let's fucking rage. And like everybody's kind of like doing these weird hand signals and like sending us off. And we get to the end of the tarmac and they're like making us wait there for like 5 minutes. And I'm like, dude, let's go. He's like, and then we finally got the okay from the tower and he's like, are you ready? And I'm like, dude, enough foreplay. Let's fuck. I literally said that. I was like,
yeah, you're still a little
wow,
nervous.
that was too much.
Yeah.
Like I got too excited. And so then we take off and they do this maneuver where like they take off and it seems cool. And then boom, like you go like vertical. And
right away?
Yeah, just right away. And I mean, you'll see in the video. I'll probably post.
What does a takeoff feel like in comparison to like a normal jet when you're flying commercial?
It's like,
is it like that and then it gets faster, or is it like just the minute
it's like
he
you
hits
strapped yourself to a bomb? You just and you go straight up. And then I was doing like he had this whole planned out, and he was showing me with this like this plane model, like everything that we were going to do, like being inverted. We were going to do these crazy back flips and like corkscrew rolls and, fly upside down and, bank really hard and get all these G's. His whole goal was to get me like all like 9 G's and like do this like multiple times.
At no point here you're telling him to like, hey, you don't need to show off for me or anything. I just want to take a cruise around the block and then tell my friends.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what I would have
done.
done.
So with the takeoff, how many G's did you hit on the takeoff?
So I was like pressed back to my seat and my whole like cheeks were like, I felt like I was like stroking out, like, and he's like, yeah, that was 4 G's.
Oh no.
I was like, holy shit, dude.
And you know you're going to go 9. Did they tell you that?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
so does he work you up to that? Is it like, okay, we're at 4 right now. I'm going to take you to 5. Like, okay.
Yeah, and so he takes. So we fly out further. We have to get to like this airspace where he can really step on it, and so we start like picking up speed. And I just confirmed with him, it was like 600 miles an hour. We ended up going at a certain point, and then he started to do all this maneuvering, and I forget all the names of all these different like maneuvers they do, but like I just knew I was getting thrown around. And like one of the first ones we did was like a 8-point kind of barrel roll, and so he would do it where it was like kind of jerky, where like we go this way, then we go this way, then we go this way, and we turn until we're all the way inverted, and then we'd stop, and I was upside down and hanging, looking at the world, like just with my seatbelt. And my ass was off the chair, and I was like hanging like this. And I'm like, like nothing was holding me except for this little buckle.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like staring at like imminent death. And so after that, I was like, what the fuck? What am I doing?
Now, is he trying to fuck with you, or is that what?
No, it's just he was trying to make it cool. Like he was trying to make me have fun and everything. But I was just like,
what does 9Gs feel like?
You know how I was like, dude, I can handle this.
Yeah,
you know?
that's
like,
you asshole. That was an asshole move.
I
would totally not go in there like that. But hey, take it easy.
No. So we started doing all that, and then he's like, okay, we're gonna start like working on your G. And so he'd like go to 5G, so he like starts turning kind of hard, and that was the first time where it really started to kind of ramp up, where I felt like I don't know how to describe it. It almost looks like what Arnold looked like in Total Recall, where he's just
when he's melting in Mars,
just like his eyes are popping out. Like that's what it felt like was happening.
He said that it felt like his DNA was separating in his body.
That was when I hit 9Gs. Like I felt like my DNA was like scrambling.
Like, can you see anything? Like, are you just fucking done?
Like I could see probably like this much, like in front of me, and like the rest of it is just, Like
now, are you
there.
and you're just tensing your body? What are you doing?
Yes, you have to sit and you have to bear down and like dig your legs into the ground. So you have to really like tighten up your legs to really squeeze the blood back up to your head. So
oh, really?
I could totally see how people pass out like immediately. And like,
were you instructed to keep tension like that?
Mm-hmm.
That's a technique that they have to do.
Yeah, it was all part of the briefing that we just blew past.
That's why. So he messaged me a while ago, and he said that he wanted us to create a fitness program for them, specifically for that, because it's exhausting.
It's really like I'm still exhausted today, from doing that yesterday.
And what was the total time up there even?
So we did an hour and 20 minutes.
Oh shit!
Which was the longest anybody was
flying for an hour and 20 minutes. Now it can't all be like this.
No, it wasn't, and it was a special case. Like, so
where'd you guys go? Florida and back? I mean, that going that fast, you should be able to get there and back.
We could have, but he decided to do a lot more like fucking loop-de-loops and crazy shit.
Did you throw up?
I didn't know you were in there that long. That's a long time.
So that's the end of the story.
Oh,
right?
Okay.
So
story skipper.
Yeah,
oh, my bad.
You threw up.
So okay, I'll get to that. I will get to that, Adam. So we went through all that, and he was like, "How you doing?" I'm like, "I'm okay." And once we hit the 9Gs, really like how he hits 9G is when they do this hairpin turn. So he just like goes like, I don't know if it's 600 miles an hour or whatever, but he just goes as fast as he can and then turns on a dime, like the other way.
Oh, so that's what creates the 9G.
That's what creates
is the whip.
It's 9 times your body weight, right? That's what you experience.
I don't know if that. How can that be right?
Am I right?
Yeah.
Oh my God, dude.
Yeah, you're right.
1,000 episodes.
No, it's about 1,000
episodes.
1,000-something pounds of pressure on you.
No,
we'll confirm with it.
If you laid on the ground and put 1,000 pounds on your chest,
it's not in one area. It's on your entire body.
Dude,
and
you
that's what
say
happens.
that you weren't there, bro.
Okay.
I'm serious. It was like
that's like a refrigerator laying on top of you.
That bro, he came in and he was telling me the story, and
dude, it felt like a refrigerator.
I can handle stress, right?
He was shook.
Okay. Like I can handle stress, but like,
well, if you threw up,
I didn't know. Well, I didn't throw up. Okay, all right, and I didn't pass out, and you can see the footage until. So we get through all this thing. There was one point too where everything kind of calmed down, and he was like, "All right, why don't you take over and fly? And why don't you?"
You fucking lie.
Not lying. I ain't lying. So there's this
accidentally drops
joystick
the bomb.
right here, and there was like a button too.
Like,
there.
San
No, they
Francisco.
don't have any bombs or anything on there, or like any
damn.
missiles. I was like
course not.
kind of bummed out about that. Like that would have been kind of cool.
Yeah, of course not.
I know that house. Fuck that guy.
So there's this like joystick, and like I was at that point. What really got me and what got me sort of queasy was when we kept going upside down and then rolling slow. I got like disoriented.
And you were too tough to tell him that.
Yes, 100%. And so I was like, oh, and he's like, okay, why don't you take over the control? And so I started to grab it and like I just barely kind of move it. And like, I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna relax, just get a couple of breaths, man. Just enjoy the scenery. And I'm like holding my mask and kind of sitting back and just
Turn up the oxygen.
turn up oxygen.
He was really going to let
100%.
you fly for a minute?
Yeah, dude.
What?
Yeah, he was. I blew it.
Or is
but
it
I
like
was just-
like a pretend thing?
He
Like,
thought I was doing well, is what he
yeah,
thought.
you faked it hella
Yeah,
good.
totally. And then and so then he's like, I think he figured it out because he's like, all right, let's go back to the base. And so we started like flying. It took a while, like probably like 20 minutes to get back to the base. And then we get there and we're ready to drop in. And he's like, okay, we got to do kind of a low approach. And so he gets down low and then like banks kind of hard again. I'm like, oh, I'm feeling a little more G's. And then we start to kind of descend. And then the tower's like, hold on, and stops us. And it's like, well, there's two other planes that need an emergency landing because they're low on fuel. And so I'm like, fuck. And so like they takes back off. We fly around
Buzz
again.
the tower like in Top Gun? Iron Eagle. It's
That
Iron
would've been
Eagle they
sick.
do it, right?
Yeah, that would have been sick, but
So
no, we
fake,
didn't do
though.
that. No, we were just coasting, and so we're going like slow, and we're just doing this sort of lap. I'm doing one lap, and it's like he's turning really slow, and so I'm like leaning over, just and finally like the third lap, like he started to ask me, like we're talking shit, and I was like, whew, I'm glad I didn't puke or whatever. I'm like, my breath stinks. I'm talking about breath because I was like super dehydrated at this point, and all I'm smelling is my own breath in this mask. And he's like, yeah, at least you didn't puke in your mask. That'd be way worse. I'm like, yeah, that would be worse. And then he's like, well, we'll have a drink after. Like, what's your favorite beer? And I was like, beer. I just leaned back, just you're like, yeah, funny story. I pushed the mic. I pushed like
The mic.
the mic. I pushed my mask off, and I'm just like this and trying to catch some air. And I just was like, this is coming up. This is not, avoidable anymore. And so I have a bag like taped to my leg. And I just grabbed the bag and I was just,
Oh, shit.
just
You were
like
that
heaven's
close to
gates
landing?
Open, this close, dude. Like I was so like I could have been a champion. I was this close.
Did you get any on your shirt?
I got like little chunks. It was here, and I was like, really? But the last, I think it was the last push. Like just kind of came down. I had some on my chin
Oh, gross.
right here, and I hit a little bit.
Doug,
in
you
here.
get a photo?
And I grab it, and I'm like, trying to, ew.
Did you flick it off in the
I
cockpit?
tried to get it off of me. I didn't want any evidence, even though he has a camera looking at me, and I'm like, oh no, he knows. I was like trying to, hey, how's it going up there? He's like, how you feeling? I'm like,
Dude, you know what's crazy to me is these dudes fucking do that and control the plane, know where they're at, know what to do.
it doesn't make any sense.
Imagine having to fight in the air while hitting these kinds of G's. That's crazy.
I would also imagine they, over years and hours of flying, they've worked up
Bro.
to that type of flying.
Yeah, they
too.
do. They do
probably
multiple-
They probably cruised around blocks for quite some time before they were doing shit
What you
like
got to
that.
consider, though, is
Yeah.
like when you see like a top level athlete, like an NBA player, and you're like, oh, that's the 1% of the 1% in the world. And I could practice all day long. I'll never be as good as them. These guys are
love
they're
when you talk
fighter
sports.
pilots.
Right.
They're
So I land, right? So finally we land. Like all the birds are gone. And we get down and I get out. And so he decides to kind of, everybody's like lined up there to kind of address us or clap and whatever. Step down and he's kind of addressing them, making the speech. And then he's like, yeah, and the floor is yours.
and
And
you're all
I'm
fucked
just
up.
like trying to like just find balance again, like I'm supposed to talk to these guys.
What did you
like,
say?
Like what am I supposed to say? Like fitness and truth, and nutrition.
Doug, how did his face look when he came out of the?
A little bit white.
Was he a little white?
A little bit white.
Did you not shoot any after that, or were you done?
No, I shot a bunch after that.
Okay,
I
so you
have
do
photos,
have.
yeah.
Okay, we haven't seen the photos yet. I want to see the photos,
Dude, so when they're pulling 9Gs, do you even can you even comprehend what's going on?
Can you
Like,
lift
what
your
is that-
arms? Can you move your arms?
No, you can't move any.
You're like plastered to the seat.
You're literally just blasted. Like I felt like I was gonna explode. Like my body was just exploding, but all my clothes were keeping them together.
Would you do it again?
No.
Oh shit! Like
No
that?
way.
Really?
Yeah.
And
Like,
for Justin to say that,
let me
dude,
put this out
Well, he's
there.
an asshole too for not saying anything.
How many times as an adult have you spun around?
Yeah,
you know,
no, I would
really hard.
I would have told him the first time, but that's cool. No
Like,
more.
I
I'm
did that
good.
with my kids. Like I was out like throwing the ball for my dog and everything.
They're not
and the
hitting
kids
9Gs though.
I'm like, pfft, and then I got like winded and like, whoa,
Yeah, I
where,
can't even
where
do
am
that.
I? You know, like
What's
now
that
imagine
called?
that like times a million.
What's the little thing? The fucking thing in the
oh,
playground. I can't even do that anymore.
what are you talking about?
Ferris,
You know,
not the Ferris
the
wheel.
one that you
What is it
run,
called?
the kids run on, and then you.
They don't. You know they don't have
Merry-go-round.
those.
They don't have those
Thank you,
anymore?
Doug.
They don't have those anymore.
Really?
No,
too dangerous?
The big metal spinning.
okay.
Yeah.
Everything's
things.
too dangerous
They're dangerous,
now.
dude. Kids get stuck under those things. Yeah, like they'll spin and the kid be like,
Oh, my legs.
There's dead kids under those.
You're stupid.
Wow.
Back in the day, it was a little different, dude.
my
That's
go- oh my
that's
God.
that's crazy that those guys do that and they're able to know what they're doing the
Man, you're
entire time.
scaring me.
Dude, I have so much respect for them. You know, I always put that out there. Like they're it doesn't make sense. They're insane people, but you know, I appreciate them.
So did you get to learn, like, how do you become a Thunderbird?
So I guess like you have to have this crazy awesome resume within, you know, the armed forces and
Does
like,
that
have
mean
all
like
these
you
recommendations.
shot down some MiGs? Like,
I
what
don't
is
know
that-
about
what's it-
combat experience and all that. I don't know. They didn't like tell me any of that, but like you go through this rigorous process and like, you know, all these people, a ton of people apply to the program because it's a rad program. I mean, you get to do like fun stuff and take people up and do a lot of marketing and all this kind of stuff. But like, I guess there's this panel of like 12 officers that all grill you, and then you have to have a certain number. I think it's like 700 something hours of fight, like flight F16 hours in the air and doing all these different like stunts. And
So
stuff.
they're all badasses.
They're all just the elite of the elite.
These guys are celebrities.
Yeah.
In the armed forces, they're literally like celebrities. You know, when they say he's a fighter pilot or whatever, it's a big deal.
Yeah,
It's
so
a very big
I was
deal.
on base and they were telling me, like, I was talking to a lot of the soldiers walking around and like I hadn't met any of them yet, and they're like, you'll know when they get here, like they're just a league of their own.
Oh,
And
like
it was,
that.
It was like that.
did-
Dude.
very
They were
top,
like
very Top
celebrities.
Gun-esque.
Oh yeah,
Did they tell you how much one of those planes cost?
something
26 million.
Yeah,
26 million.
26 million.
Yeah, so imagine
That was way off.
you're in charge of a $26 million
And it burns
piece of
like a few
equipment.
$100,000 in gasoline. Too,
Yeah,
right?
probably right. That's
Wow.
crazy, man. That's insane.
so that it was mind blowing. It was like a life changing experience. It
So
was
you
crazy.
think you're okay now, or do you think something happened to you a little
I
bit?
can't believe you wouldn't do.
I don't know.
it was
Dude, my
that
brain
crazy.
got scrambled a little bit.
Really?
Yeah.
Or it
I might be
cleared out.
better now.
It might have cleared out
I-
some
yeah.
beta amyloid plaques out of your brain.
Exactly. Maybe
Just
that
suck them
cured
right out.
my Alzheimer's.
Put them in your
or something. I
foot. Who knows?
Who knows?
Anyway,
Yeah.
are you doing it? Do you want to do it now still?
I do.
Really?
Yeah, I'll speak up, bro. I won't let him do that to me. An hour and a half of fucking spinning around? No way.
You think he's gonna take you up there
What are
so
you
you
gonna
can
do?
fucking
Just
cruise like a
cruise?
big baby?
Bro, no, I'm not
You
gonna say
got
I
a
won't.
jumbo jet.
I'm not gonna say I'm not gonna do a loop or two, but after a couple of those, I'm not gonna let him do it to me.
Adam wants him to be like,
Whatever. He puts my name on the side of the jet. I get to get up, go down. Like, I'm cool. Like, I don't need to do all the other stuff. I would most certainly would not act too tough if it was starting to fucking mess with my gut. I would
Damn,
say some
dude.
shit.
Well, I wanted to do two in
So
a row.
I
I
wanna-
wanted to do two 9G pulls in a row. That was our goal, and so I was pissed because there was no way that was happening.
you're like never.
Yeah,
That's crazy. dude.
I think I would have
Well,
exploded.
Good for you, man. I'm glad you did. I'm glad you did it for us.
Yeah.
I'm very proud that my friend did that.
Sal tried to scare me. That's as close as he's gonna get.
Hell no.
I know somebody.
I had never wanted to. I got
wanna
the
go.
You
invitation.
can use me all you want.
You know what's
man.
funny?
You know.
I got the DM right from because he DM'd me and I read it and he's like, I want to fly you guys up, and I'm like, fuck, I know Adam and Justin are gonna want to do this. Do
Yeah.
I tell them? Because I almost thought to myself like, I'm not gonna tell them because then they're gonna make me do this.
Yeah.
But being the selfless person that I am, I gave it to you guys. Luckily, it was just one person though.
Yeah.
Luckily, I got the shit.
glad
into
I
this,
did
I
it.
got the shit into this stick.
Yeah. That's what you think. Anyway,
Yeah.
so did you guys see the article on Airbnb and the hidden cameras that people are finding?
No.
People are complaining to Airbnb because they're renting these houses, which we've done many times,
And people's cameras are running.
And they're finding cameras. And think about it. If you own this house and you're renting it out
bears or what?
I don't know, dude. But think about all the crazy.
Almost everyone that we go to have cameras in them. I see them all the time.
Do they really?
Yeah.
In the rooms too?
I just hope.
Uh-oh.
I don't. Yeah, I don't. When we go Airbnb, I just cut off the masturbation for that.
Do
week.
you really?
Yeah, yeah.
Do you?
I'm not, yeah.
I go dark.
I can.
Hopefully it's not
I
infrared.
can abstain for
Justin,
3 days.
Justin's
of travel.
married. That's like masturbation
I
time.
mean, come on, dude.
Yeah.
That's like my only time.
He brings costumes.
No one's gonna. he brings what?
Costumes.
Oh, I thought you said condoms.
Costumes for myself.
He's so safe. He
I'm
masturbates
not that
with-
elaborate, dude.
Yeah. No, but that's creepy, dude. That's creepy. So I read this story about how this guy saw the cameras in there and didn't know if they were live or what was going on.
I had just read
And he
an
ran
article
out?
on them hitting they're on their 500 millionth visit or whatever that someone's used it.
Really?
Oh, they're just blowing up.
Talk about a disruptive business.
Oh yeah.
You know, hotels are freaking out about that.
Well, we had
Airbnb.
talked about this. Like, man,
Are they though? Are hotels? I mean,
There's some-
I think that they're going to have a hard time staying or competing with it, but I haven't heard anybody say that.
So some cities, if I'm not mistaken, some cities have actually tried to pass laws saying that you can't have Airbnb because of that.
Oh, really?
Because of the hotel lobbies and stuff.
Because
Same
hotels
thing
do
Uber
good with
went through.
wedding receptions and high school reunions.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
And business meetings. They make a lot of money.
But
from
think
that
about the
stuff, too.
rooms that people get and stuff, and think about also how much Airbnb's already improved since we've been in there.
No, I agree with you. I've been touting them for a hell. I mean, Katrina and I have been using Airbnb and VRBO for 10 plus years, and when we first started, it literally was like you were renting somebody's house that they were just gone for the weekend.
Right.
Picture frames are up, their clothes are in the dresser drawer. Like it was like that.
Yeah.
It's now
was always
evolved to be
awkward.
like
now they'll give you like the single serve, shampoo.
yeah,
and soap.
you feel like you're going to a hotel. There's no pictures. There's none of their stuff is there. Oh, because what's happening is people are coming in and they're buying up. Like we use Tahoe Getaways, which is just like a smaller version of that. And they own like 30. They buy up 30 of the nicest houses up there, and then it doesn't look like anyone's ever lived in them.
Oh no, and there's also because this whole share economy is pretty crazy. Like my brother lives up in the city, and he doesn't own a car, but when he comes down, he rents a car through a service that's like Airbnb. So it's people who rent their own cars to people. So my brother will get he'll get like an Audi or a BMW, whatever, and it's not through like a rental agency. It's through some dude
that's rad.
using
Yeah,
that
that makes a lot of
service.
sense.
Well, we speculated this before that less and less people will be buying things like that. Like why buy a Ferrari that you drive once every 2 months?
That's it right there. It's the
versus-
access to things is just going to continue to improve to the point where
It's gonna make it less cool.
It's not gonna make that big of a difference.
You already see it happening with influencers.
Yeah.
They rent them all the time, take fucking photos with them, and then
put their protein powder cup in
I'm
front of
so
it.
successful.
And then they
I sold shreds. Man. I got a Ferrari. Look at my
Killing
pecs.
it.
Yeah, but anyway, these share economy things are so disruptive to just how business has always been done. I mean, think about all the other ways that you could share things. There's people who are renting out their homes as restaurants, even in some of these big cities.
Well, I've
so
told
you
you
go to you go to like New York, and rather than going to a restaurant,
Yeah, San Francisco does this too.
really.
Yeah, someone will cook you a dinner. Like you have somebody
And
who
you have like 3 or 4 other people visiting, and I mean, what a great experience! Have you tried anything like that?
No, I wouldn't do that.
Why?
I'm just weird.
Why is it weird?
Somebody's fucking house. I don't know. It's not. I'll let enough of you knuckleheads go do it first to get your feedback, and then go do that.
They'll get a bad rating if they kill you.
Yes, they will. They will.
No more customers for you.
Not good.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, I don't know if I would do that yet. That's a little bit, and they do things like it. I forget where. I think my uncle was telling me about where they have some places where you can rent a couch by the hour. So some people will even say, you can come sleep on my couch for 2 hours for a fee. So people that don't want to pay for the full price for a hotel room, they just want to get a nap in between or what that, you can rent couch.
We always had a guy like that in college.
What?
Oh, he wasn't paying
smoke
you.
weed and just like
Yeah, he wasn't paying
bum
you.
on your
He-
get out of here.
He wasn't paying.
I don't
you.
know why that reminded me of this, just because it's the internet and there's crazy stuff. There's groups now. Someone posted it in the forum. There's groups of men now who are signing up to meet each other to cuddle. Did you guys read this article?
What?
Yeah. They're cuddle groups.
I mean, sign me up.
Did you join?
Where is this?
No, not at all. No, I got no problems with now. I'm good. But it's literally these are groups of men who want to just join and cuddle. I think they're just trying to.
They're confused.
I think they're trying to go for it all the way.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You saw this on Facebook?
This was in our forum.
Is this
Somebody
a
posted.
spooning kind of cuddle or what? What are we
They're
talking about
men
here?
who want to literally they said they just want to cuddle with each other.
Cuddle.
Yeah, it's like a wrestle party.
Yeah.
Anyway,
But they're all
like the old days.
Did
Like
you see
grizzly
the?
bears
Did you
or
see
what?
they finally settled the Monsanto suit? Did you see that?
$80 million?
Yes.
So they're saying that it gave him cancer to be exposed to all this.
So he had like
glyphosates?
he had like poison oak or something like that around his house, and that's what he used to keep it down. And constantly spraying it, year in, year out, all the time. And then I guess we talked about it like I don't know. It's been going on for months now, right? When it first happened.
Yeah, and then there was an appeal.
It just settled though.
So done. He's taking it.
Yeah,
He's taking the money.
80 million.
But doesn't he have
Good.
I don't know what kind of
terminal cancer?
Does he?
I think he might.
I don't know.
Yeah, it sucks. Yeah, what good that's going to do to him. Yeah, it's crazy to even think because right now the amount of glyphosates that are being sprayed into the earth, it's insane. It's like I don't know how many millions of tons, but if you were to take like random rainwater, the odds that you would find some glyphosates in that are actually
That's what's
relatively
really
high.
worrisome. Yeah, it's like you can't like avoid it. It's
No.
like going to come back as rain or whatever.
Well,
It's
that's
just-
when you do that interview with Dr. Bush, that's what he was saying. Like, even if you're getting organic food, you're still getting a percentage of getting that in there. You're getting the soil is all fucked up from the
Well,
rain.
so think
it doesn't
about this.
matter if it's organic food or not.
So he was telling me about that, and he said
We're
that if we
doomed.
stopped using them, it would take 100 years for it to get cleared out if we just stopped everything completely, but that's not going to happen. But then I think about like when you're having like grass-fed, foods or whatever, are you really 100% good because they're eating grass that got rained on with all these glyphosates? You can't get away from it. They're finding it in breast milk.
It's got to be a huge difference, though. Like, it can't be close, is it? I mean, the difference between going organic versus someone who's just going.
Oh yeah, you're not getting it sprayed directly on your food. You're getting kind of like, leftover or residue or whatever.
Right.
But to think that it has no impact on anything at all, I think is asinine. It's going to have some kind of an impact. I know the way glyphosates work is they interrupt something called the Shikimadi pathway, Doug. Am I right about that? You believe so? And that pathway is
I think
found.
you're wrong.
Yeah, huh? And it's found in
Look that up,
bacteria.
Doug.
So it can interrupt this pathway in bacteria that can cause bacteria to die. And so we're spraying it all over the soil and essentially sterilizing the ground, sterilizing the earth. And we don't necessarily know what that means, if that's bad or good, but it's definitely different.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I brought some news for Justin. I got two things for you because I can't
Sweet.
ever talk sports with with Sal.
Yeah, let's just
I love sports ball.
do
Yeah.
this. Okay.
The first one for you, though, did you see the Reese's Peanut Butter Cup? What they're releasing?
No.
Oh, yeah. So they're coming out with two new Reese's Peanut Butter Cups, and one of them's for the peanut butter lover, and then one's for the chocolate lover. So one is like the reverse. So it's all like peanut butter on the outside with a little bit of chocolate in the middle.
How does that work? It's all like squishy.
I don't know. I haven't tried it.
Wait, how? Is that French for squishy?
Doug can pull the picture up what it looks like.
Yeah.
It looks good.
That's like Italian.
It looks good. And then did you see with the Cardinals the news with the new coach? So they have a new young coach like McVay
I
over
did
there.
see that. So apparently they're getting like phone breaks, like cell phone breaks,
So
like Instagram.
The first, so the brand new coach gets hired with the Cardinals, and the first thing that he implements is cell phone breaks for practice. So
Wait,
and
like-
this is for practice.
yes, so
wait, practice like a break. Like, okay, guys, let's stop practicing.
So the players
This
can go over and
is
check their social,
absurd.
so that they can check their social media. It's and I can't. He was quoted saying like they want to get to it so bad that he wants to integrate it into the practice instead of keeping them from it the entire practice. So there was this huge debate over how
Yeah, just
ridiculous
give 'em the
this is or
drug.
not.
Now, is this because they're just acting like children, or is it because they're
Well, they argue. I think a lot of these athletes are 20, 22 years old and grew up with Instagram since they were kids.
how
And they're
is it-
now an NFL player, so they're just like, getting like messages constantly,
Right.
addicted to it.
Yeah, but is it maybe it's because they're building like their side business or trying to build their brand and trying to attend to it? No.
Well, they can justify it like that all they want. But
Yeah.
that's practice.
No, he was quoted for talking about them wanting to get to social media, not like it's we were trying to encourage them.
what a
to
hard
build.
life, man. You gotta take a break from playing a game to go check your social media.
What I think is crazy is just that a coach would even think that he would need to do something like that. That's how much this is changing.
You're feeding into it.
Like you got all the old coaches are going like, what the fuck? This is crazy.
How is it in schools right now and high schools and stuff with cell phones? Are kids just
Well, Justin's the one that cruises by them all the time.
I mean,
oh my god,
come on, dude.
terrible. That's horrible. Yeah.
I used to
I'm
give that
not-
joke on Sal. It sounded like when I do that.
No, man. Fuck. There's too many times people think
Don't know
it's
how to
true.
respond to that.
So what are they doing? Are they just talking to each other? Because I feel like you could cheat so easily now with cell phones and stuff.
What do you mean cheat?
Well, you're in the classroom. You just be like, beep,
Oh,
know.
you're talking about the high school kids.
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
see,
talking
in
about
our
the NFL.
day, it was those big graphing calculators that we would like slide up. And
Don't
you
we have
could-
Enzo knows? You can ask him
Or
afterwards.
you'd like
He always-
memorize all the stuff on
Dude,
there.
we used to write letters. Do you guys remember writing people letters?
Can you still?
You're
fold,
older than us.
Can you still fold the note thing where it like tucks in and you
Yeah.
pull it out?
Dude, you fucking 1 year younger than me,
Come on.
dude. What did you?
Nobody.
Yeah,
nobody
you never
writes
wrote letters? You're a liar. Oh, you just drew penises.
Dear
all
Sarah,
Yeah.
you look so great today.
You guys never did that? You never did that? Like,
Send.
do you like me? Yes, no, maybe.
Oh yeah, those things. What do you call that?
cootie
thing?
catcher. The cootie
It's
catcher.
a cootie catcher.
I picked four.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah, those are pretty
I
cool.
did that, yeah.
Anyway, so here's some cool news. Facebook is going to be creating their own cryptocurrency.
Oh really? After
Yes.
it's taken after crypto's
After
been
it
taking
took
a
a
shit.
shit, yeah.
Well,
I don't even check my money on that ever.
no, thanks, Adam. Yeah, thanks for that advice.
Hang on to it. You know, 30, maybe 40 years later.
Adam-
Yeah, it'll bounce back.
Adam's whole pitch was,
I'm
hey,
still-
people are going to buy drugs online.
Yeah.
So you know they're going to be.
So it's always going to be there.
Actually, it's not a bad.
Hey,
that's the truth.
yes, it is the truth, and I most certainly wouldn't sell mine right
Except
now.
when the guy dies that he has all the shares.
Yeah, that could fuck you.
That sucks.
so anyway, so they're going to use a cryptocurrency so people can buy things through Facebook with this currency. So I mean, and here's the thing with
Well,
what we're
imagine
saying.
just the fact that Facebook is adopting that.
Facebook's massive.
What that's going to do to crypto, period. Just the fact that Facebook is going to adopt something like that will initially drive everything
No,
else.
that is big news.
Oh, it's great because how many? I mean, we've talked about this before. Facebook is the most informed entity on Earth of its citizens or users or whatever. They know everything about their people, way more than anybody else, and it's all voluntary shit. So it's like
Yeah, they creep me out.
They know what you do, but they also know what you like, what you comment on, what you say. So and then they're creating this cryptocurrency. It's gonna be really interesting how they're gonna sell you shit and stuff like that.
When's it being implemented?
Right now, they're investing in blockchain technology. This was reported by Bloomberg, so it's still a little bit of a speculation. But they did hire a crypto team in their San Francisco office. I think it said the article.
It's
Well, hopefully it tightened up their infrastructure. Do you remember what happened to them just recently?
No.
So this guy stole. Between Google and Facebook, it was 75 million that he grifted basically by sending them bills.
He just sent them bills and they just paid
send them bills, from some random company that's like, hey, I'm a software company from Taiwan or whatever, and they just paid it. They're just like, oh, we got to pay the bills.
Doug and I were just having conversations around shit like this. I mean, when shit's coming in and out so fast and you're paying contractors, how easily you could slide in and just be like, oh yeah, the $2,000 for that mic upgrade thing, we fixed audio, whatever. And you're like, okay.
That's like old school burglar guy, Like,
So think-
old school.
how much did he get out of it? How much did he do?
75 million.
You know what I think when I hear this?
How much time? How busted is he?
Well, he's busted. I think he
no
gave
shit.
50 back, but there's still the rest of it's like
Spent.
Yeah, all over the place.
What I think when I hear this, 75 million, I think, what an idiot. He could have got away with 5. You know what I'm saying? He had to get greedy.
He got greedy.
He kept going.
You're right.
He's a hero.
Pull that
He could have
on
been a hero.
Amazon, except they're probably tight.
Well,
They probably
the other
caught that
question
right
would be
away.
then how many others have already? How many other guys did walk away?
Yeah, you know what this reminds me of? What was that movie? The Office. Remember when they do that? They move the decimal point or
so
take the
that-
extra.
like a fraction of a
Yes.
penny
Yeah.
gets deposited over another account.
Yeah. That's what it
the
reminds me of.
perfect crime.
Well, that's how it works. Anyway, Adam, how's your new rowing routine going?
I'm actually really enjoying it.
Now, what kind of a rower did you get?
A water rower.
Yeah, I know that, but what is it like? How much are they? $2,000? $3,000?
2.
2,000. So it's like
Yeah.
a legit.
You can get them for a wage. I mean, you can get them for like $500, but
Why did you get one for 2?
Well, I read all the reviews on all of them, and most of the ones that were cheaper were getting bad reviews for something, a piece breaking off or some shit like that. And it's decent. If you're like an old grandma rowing on it, I know I'm gonna get after it. So like I wanted a commercial one for my house, which I know is kind of an
Dude,
asshole.
who are you, dude? Swimming, rowing.
I know what the hell's going on here.
Like,
Just when you think I'm over here,
You do Pilates next?
huh?
Wee.
Maybe.
How's he doing it, Justin?
I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know how you row.
the leg warmers.
What's the technique?
Is this all because you're trying to beat Ben Greenfield? Is that still
No.
in the play?
I mean, of course, there's some hidden motivation for that.
Is that still going on, or is that?
It never was anything official. It's just been some friendly shit talking between him and I via text
You're
message
kind of
and
backing
DM.
out now a little bit.
Whoa.
Oh, you're coming out strong.
No one fucking said that. You know, I'm not gonna claim that there's a date like that's happening right now. That none of that's happened. It's been playful and fun right now. Absolutely, I'll be training to make sure that if he does call me out, that I fucking can back it up. So,
bro, you had trunks made. What happened?
Oh, are you gonna rat him out?
Yeah, don't spoil that.
Okay, fine, but
yeah.
I just.
We'll tell our audience off air about all that.
We'll just say that we're going to add fuel to the fire is all.
Yeah, no, I have some plans. The rowing was to complement that. So the rowing is partially, getting ready for dad life a little bit. So I wanted something at the house.
Wait, why getting ready for dad life? What do you mean?
Well, if I can't come back over here to the gym, if I'm going to be, I know there'll be some time where I'm going to be over there and not coming over here at all for a while. And so I want access to something like that. And
so in case you have like all this extra time because you have a new baby, you're going to go do a little cardio in the garage?
Bro, you row for about 15, 20 minutes. You good.
Bro,
that's
you want to have 5 minutes, bro.
Yeah, well, we'll see. I don't know if I won't have 5 minutes, but I think that it also complements swimming so well. Like swimming is all core, back, and arms, right?
Yeah, that's
I mean,
true.
that's mostly what swimming is, and that's mostly what rowing is. I mean, it's core, back, and arms. And so they complement each other. So here's the strategy for me right now is I'm trying to get in the gym to lift a minimum of at least 2 times inside the gym. So ideally, I'd like to be there 3 or 4, but realistically, I've had some weeks where I'm only lifting like 2 times a week. And then I'd like to be swimming at least 2 to 3 times a week. And then I'm using the rower if I don't do either one of those.
Supplement.
Yeah. So if shit happens at work, we work all day long. Like last night, this is what happened. At 10 o'clock at night, I'm down in the garage and I rode 5,000 meters and then I went to bed. So I'm using it like that. So it's complementing my swimming. It's also, and I've also noticed lately, man, especially since we haven't been flying and traveling and doing a lot of stuff, we've been here so much. Like I got back.
I've never been so sedentary in my life.
Oh my God, it's crazy.
Yeah.
I've been tracking again to kind of just see where I was at, and I'm gaining weight on like 3,000 to 3,200 calories. That's crazy for me.
Yeah, because you're such a fat. Normally like 4 or 5.
Oh yeah. No, I'm used to being able to consume 4,000 or 5,000. Obviously 4,000 or 5,000. I'm much bigger. I'm in bodybuilding mode. But even to go from that all the way to put fat on at 3, so I got to stay at like 25 to 27 right now. And for my size, it's just because we're not moving at all. So that's kind of the motivation too. Is like I need to move more.
You don't realize how, especially when you're working in a gym, how many steps you actually take. Because you're training people all day long.
And picking weights up, moving
Did you guys ever measure your steps with the Body Bug when you were personal trainers?
Yeah.
So you'd hit like 15,000.
15 to 20 every day.
Easy, right?
Every day.
Yeah, no problem. Just from walking around the gym.
And now I have to make an effort just to hit 10.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm probably hitting 5,000 on a regular basis. Yeah. Anyway, I do want to say it's crazy that we've done 1,000 episodes.
Yes.
This to me is really exciting.
It's flown by.
We've done a lot.
It's neat to feel like we're in a fishbowl right now too. It's a little different.
Yeah. I remember
everybody fucking staring at us right now.
It's funny. We had we haven't drank during our podcast for a long time. We never do. This is what we did early on. And I remembered. I don't know what episode it was. I hope one of you guys knows what episode it was. But do you guys remember that one day that I poured drinks for everybody? Yeah. And they were a little heavy-handed.
Yeah, and it was when Adam was prepping for his show.
Yeah, so you were like low calorie,
and so
carb depleted.
I mean, this is Doug's living room.
Yeah, we used to do this at night too. Like we don't podcast. We podcast in the morning now, and like until like noon maybe. But like just doing this, it's a totally different energy. I mean, we used to do this like we'd do 2 or 3 on a Monday, and try and knock them out, and then work our regular jobs
till like 8, 9 p.m. at night.
Yeah,
but I remember pouring those drinks, and we were going.
And we would get smashed.
Yeah, and halfway through, we're like, we got to stop the podcast.
Yeah,
that was a little too much. But anyway,
it's crazy that 1,000 have gone by already. It feels like it was just kind of yesterday when we first started.
It does. It went by so fast. But when you think about all the old episodes and how we started, it does seem like it was a long time ago. You know what I'm saying? I mean, our studio used to be, gosh, it was like the size of maybe not even half of this space here, and we were like right next to each other. I could reach out and touch you guys.
Yeah,
and oftentimes
grab my leg all the
I would
time.
do that oftentimes.
That place was so hot.
And
I let it happen.
It was a good time up the street, and now we're doing this.
The mustache lady next door.
Yeah,
dude.
She did not like us.
I almost forgot
I think
that. Remember,
she listened
remember when
to that
Justin
episode.
slept with her? That was crazy.
That was terrible. Yeah.
Don't tell my wife.
Good thing she doesn't listen to the podcast. She might now, though.
It was a good massage.
Yeah.
I had to pay out.
Yeah.
That's right. She was a massage therapist.
She
That's
was
what- That's what she was.
She was a nice lady. It wasn't even. It wasn't.
How about the
And then we had the
fest.
weed place right next to us. Remember
Yeah.
that? They were like on the other side of the wall.
Serendipitous. Right.
Weed massage. Like what? Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah,
We were right in the
strange.
middle.
How about the Chimera commercial that we did where I walked in on you guys and you were
Oh, yeah.
snorting?
I was doing lines of
snorting the-
Chimera.
What the hell were we thinking? Did we really do that?
Chimera, we put lines of.
Did we actually do that?
Yeah, we shot it. That was our first ever attempt at an advertising commercial.
Brilliant.
It was.
Yeah,
That
just
was-
so
Between
smart.
that and the porn ads, I think we were winning.
I think
Yeah.
we sold 3 bags. It was pretty good.
It was pretty
Yeah,
good.
yeah, I think it was
Anyway,
pretty good.
it's been a fucking pleasure, man.
Yeah.
It's been a pleasure with you guys.
been a ride, dude.
I'm looking forward to the next 1,000 episodes.
100%.
All right, you guys ready to answer some questions?
I
Let's
say
do
we
it.
do it. Let's go.
Let's fucking do it.
Hubert 8 is at 5 mile initial.
Hubert's all right, roger that. Left brake departure end of runway 21 left. You'll be entering basically downwind and braking to follow. LJ35s are on final behind you.
Hubert 8, copies all, thanks.
Reach 435.
I mean, we get to
next
pitch out
background.
initial, so that's pretty cool.
All right.
So my name is Juan Martinez, and I've been listening since episode 1.
Yeah.
Back when
Real OG.
back when I was running those Joe Donnelly programs, but you guys saved me from overtraining and dying. So
All right.
shots fired.
You see all the drama with him lately?
Oh, I love it.
Oh boy.
It's like I need to get my popcorn.
Oh boy.
So for each of you, if you guys were to be on a TED Talk to talk about something you're extremely passionate about, what would it be?
Oh my
Oh,
god.
wow.
Sal, you start. You're most likely to do that.
Yeah.
I don't want to do it. So is that an answer for me? Yeah.
No, go ahead. Sal.
Honestly, I think the thing that I would want to talk about right now, I mean, of course I could talk about health and fitness and how to approach nutrition from a pragmatic standpoint and all that stuff. But to be quite honest, I think the next big thing in health and wellness, the thing that we're all going to have to start to talk about and have conversations around is digital wellness. I really think that's the next big one. And I think the best people to communicate that are not tech experts and tech professionals. I think it's going to be people like us who've worked with clients for a long time and help them modify behaviors around food and exercise. Because it's really this kind of the same thing. It's a different, it's a different thing than nutrition and fitness, but it's similar in the sense that, if you're a 14-year-old kid today, you likely grew up with technology in your hand. It's been around for your whole life, and so your behaviors have been solidified. You've developed these recruitment patterns, if you will, the same way we talk about exercise, but they've been solidified. And in my experience working with people who've had terrible diets their whole lives, and they come to me in their 40s or 50s or 30s even, changing those behaviors is a slow, arduous process. But I have developed over 2 decades of working with people techniques and methods and ways of communicating and getting people to be able to make those changes. And it takes a while, but I think I've achieved a certain level of success now because I've worked with so many people. Those same strategies can be applied to developing practices around technology. And I think that the fitness and the health and wellness space is going to be the space, or at least should be the space, to communicate that and talk about the dangers of not having practices around them. So I think if I were to go talk, do a TED Talk, it probably would be around that.
I don't think I would. I don't think I have any business doing that for sure. I think that I'm passionate about a lot of things, but I think to do a TED Talk, I think you should be an expert. So I don't think I would even have a desire to do a TED Talk, nor do I think I belong up there, even in what we do here, right? Like one of my biggest pet peeves right now in our space is people that get to a point where they finally reach 6 figures or 7 figures or even 8 figures, and then instantly they pivot into mastermind groups and teaching others and selling all the rest of you on how to do that. It's like, just because you got to that yourself doesn't make you an expert on doing that and teaching others how to do that. So I don't even think that I'm at that level with what we've built here to go up and speak on stage and tell everybody else, like Gary Vee style, what the fuck they should be doing. Maybe if you ask me that question 5 years from now and Mind Pump is so much bigger than what it is, and then I feel like that. But right now where I'm at, like, I don't think that.
Do you think it'll be around business though? Because you're kind of alluding that.
Oh, well, it would be around that more than I think that I've had more success in that than I've had in fitness. I mean, just because I competed and got on stage and got shredded, and I've trained a lot of people. I don't think of myself as an expert in the field that should be standing up on a TED Talk and telling other people what's up. I just don't think that. And if there's anything that I'd feel confident in, it would be building a business in this space and talking around that. But even then, I wouldn't see myself doing that anytime soon. I would have to be down the road when Mind Pump is something far greater than where it is right now.
Yeah, probably like the importance of cheese in your diet. Or I'm good. I like with Adam. I don't think that I would have to like have something really impactful and cool that I studied or something I went through that I could pass along that was like like really well thought out and I studied for years and accomplished half of my career of academia that led me up to the point where I could then teach whatever that subject matter was. I just don't think that just a general rah like inspirational speech to me that's just a bunch of hot air and noise. And if it's something that you could take like an astrophysicist up there and then they could break it down and communicate it on like a personal level and they could actually make it so your average person can understand it. That's what I think TED Talks are for, and that's what it's awesome for. We need more of these professors to really start thinking about how they can condense their message and really relate to the crowd more than just speaking at them.
Yeah, well, some TED Talks, though, are just people's experiences, and they're not necessarily experts. Like,
yeah, those ones suck.
Yeah, well, if something like horrible happened to me or, you know what I mean?
No,
and
not
I
even.
made my way through it, like I would talk about that.
No, some of the best TED Talks I've ever seen were people who are like, here's what happened to me. There was a woman that got up there. Now, she was I want to say a psychologist, or she was a scientist in that field, but she had suffered from a stroke and half of her brain literally turned off. A stroke of insight, I think was the name of the TED Talk. And so she's just talking about her experience of what it's like to have the analytical, logical part of your brain turn off. And it was fucking fascinating to hear it communicated from somebody who had experienced it. But she did such a good job. I think,
here's the thing, though, and Sal's probably the only one narcissistic enough to want to do this, right? So I think Justin and I, and even Sal, I'm teasing him, but all of us.
I'm playing make-believe.
He's the only one that could pull it off.
Well, yeah, probably, right? I mean, that's why he's the face of all the videos that we do. I hated YouTube. I hate fucking YouTube. This camera thing stuff, like it's just, and talking to my phone, that I just absolutely. And it's not like I'm nervous. Like I'm not afraid to do it. I just don't like it. It's just not something that I enjoy doing. I love this. I love talking to people.
Yeah.
I love like that. But the camera, video, and all that stuff like that, it's just not a big fan of that.
Didn't Ben do it? Didn't Greenfield just do a talk?
Greenfield done one. Max has done one.
Max, I'm sure his was probably
TEDx.
real good.
Yeah, they've done some good. But shit, man, I mean, I think Max is so well read in his
so
subject,
polished.
and I think Ben is extremely well polished. Like. I don't know. I just maybe if you asked me that in 5 years, I'd have something I'm more passionate about. And when you bring something up like that, the thing that rings a bell with me is I would talk about like overcoming fear or something that I think I've dealt with my entire life and overcame that so many times, and I think that stifles so many people today. And so I feel passionate about that. So maybe something along those lines, if that's the case. But by no means do I think I'm an expert in a field or should be up on a TED Talk.
What's up, guys? My name is Dustin, and I've been listening to the show since 2016.
What's up, man?
What's up?
What's up, brother?
All right, so my question is, growing up, you guys ran gyms, into fitness, personal training. What's a skill that you wish you developed in your early 20s?
Ooh.
Oh, wow.
That's a really good question.
Skill. Oh, okay. This is easy for me. I wish I had somebody, because I come from a family of immigrants. So nobody in my family really had a lot of money. They were hardworking. They saved their money, but nobody knew how to invest their money. Nobody understood how to take risks, how to leverage yourself. It was just the old school, work hard and save. And so here I was, 19, 20. I'm making, this is back in 1999, 98, 99. And I'm making, $120,000, $130,000 a year. And I lived with my parents, and I didn't have any concept of what to do with that. So all I did was throw it in the bank. I literally just saved it. I drove a Volkswagen and I saved my money. And I wish I had like an older brother or an uncle or somebody, a mentor who could be like, hey, dude, you're a young kid. You got nothing to lose. Let's take this money. Let's invest it. And at this point now, if I were smart back then and I had invested it properly, at this point, I'd be independently wealthy.
Are we talking about financial advice right now? Or are we talking about like fitness business advice?
He said whatever.
Anything. Oh, anything?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm thinking like along the lines of fitness. When I'd go back and tell 20-year-old me, like, I wish I would have known running the gyms back then.
Yeah. No, I got the impression he was like whatever, anything, right? Yeah. So.
Don't say what. Don't say yes just because you fucking. Don't let him assumption close you like that. Right? Yes, that's what you're talking about. No, I felt like it was like a fitness related question.
All right. Well, you can go and I'll come up with a different one.
I think when I think about something that I learned leading trainers way later on that would have saved a ton of energy, would have made me way more successful when I was younger. When I first came on the scene in fitness, I was reading stuff around then too, but not as much as I was later in my 20s. I was big on the like speed of the leader thing. And so my attitude was, I'm going to run so fast that somebody else will want to race with me, or I'll get one or two people attracted to that. And between me and those two other people, I could destroy goal and be successful. And for actually many years, I was really successful doing that. Now, the shitty part about that was I had a very high turnover rate of employees. I mean, you would come in and you would either get on board or I'd burn you out and then be on to the next one. And I just kept turning over. But why it was such a pain in the ass, or when I look back now thinking like, I wish I would have known what I know now, is I was successful. So I was kind of blinded by that was the way to do things. And I remember when I finally pieced together to stop looking at my staff and trying to get them to be like me. Just because I had proven the model, I had been really successful, I was in search of trying to change everybody into me and teach them how I do things. And when I stopped doing that, I started looking at my team as just like a football team and looking at them at different players with different strengths. And if I hired you and I brought you on, you obviously passed the character test with me. Like, I liked your character. Now I needed to be okay with, you may be terrible at sales, or you may be terrible at lead generations, or you may be terrible at training clients. You know, you're not the best as far as program design. And being okay with that, and then figuring out the things that they were really good at and teaching them to double down on that. And that was a lesson I learned first for myself. And then when the light bulb went off, like, oh, that's how I should lead too. You know, I got the message for myself, like when I was in my early 20s, but I still was trying to make them all into me. What was I thinking? I should have done that early on, where I was looking at everybody else going like finding their strengths and then teaching them to double down on those strengths. When I figured that out, my clubs were like way more successful, and then work was easy. I could literally put my feet up and we were crushing goal all the time, and I didn't feel like I had to push nowhere near as hard as I used to have to in my early 20s. So
you didn't have to run as hard as a manager.
Oh, totally. No, it literally got easy for me. It went from being, I embraced the grind because I was that guy. Which is why you hear on the show all the time why I'm so passionate about no days off. I was that guy. I was like the sleeps for pussies, grind, like no days off.
Sleep when I die.
But that was around like work for me. That was how my work ethic was, and it made me very successful for a long time. But it did get tired. It wore me down, and it was tough, and I burned out a lot of people. When I pieced that together and became a better leader, oh man, my job, I was more successful. It was easier. Like that would have been a game changer to know that early on.
Yeah, I think for myself to talk about my 20-year-old self, the biggest sort of thing that I struggled with was being too self-critical, and to basically, I limited myself from experiencing risk and getting myself out in public and doing things where I got judged, and I was too nervous, but I was more just like very hard on myself to be the best, and that worked well for me with sports. I was very critical of myself and always trying to improve, but getting out in front of people, I was terrified. I was terrified of that. But for me to then get through that and work on that, just for me to now kind of be in a place where I believe more with what I have to offer and knowing that I have the experience to speak on certain things, if I would have had more belief in the fact that I do know more than your average person, and to be able to convey that to somebody standing right next to me, I would have been a lot more successful a lot earlier. But, it again, like you talk to my 20-year-old self, I wouldn't have learned all these things anyway. I wouldn't have listened to myself. Like I had to go through that process of really like refining that and figuring out how to make myself better through this long path of where I am today. So I wouldn't change it, but at the same time, if I could, like that, I would be even further.
Yeah.
So
what's funny is you think about that, like, would you have even listened?
I don't
to
think
your
so.
own.
There's some things I would have listened to, I think.
It's interesting, right? Because I remember when I was 20, I thought I knew it all, and
Right.
and the thing that I know now is that I remember how I thought before, so I remind myself today. You know what I'm saying? Like when I think I know it all, it's okay. It's no different than
It
when
depends
I was
on how ingrained it was in me. Like the drive to be successful and make money at such a young age for me, that was so ingrained that nobody was going to come tell me like,
yeah, balance, get some sleep.
yeah,
relax.
money isn't the answer. It's okay if you don't make a lot of like that. There's no way. That would have been like, I'm going to figure that out for myself. I'll be the judge of that.
Let me get rich and then I'll make that decision.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I think that you would have never been able to get through. But something like what I said, I think if I came back and was wiser, older me and said, hey, dude, like, you're gonna waste a lot of time trying to get these people to be more like you. You're never gonna do that. You're better off looking into their strength, because that makes sense to me now. It made so much once the light bulb went off. It made so much sense. I had so much success from it that I think, man, if I could have whispered in my ear at 20 years old and told myself that, I probably would have listened to that advice maybe. But some I know you're right. I wouldn't even. I'd be like, yeah, get out of here, dude. I got to figure this out myself.
Hi, I'm Laura.
Hi, Laura.
Laura, how long you been? I like listening. How long you been listening to Mind Pump for?
About a year.
A year.
cool.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but I started at the beginning, so.
Oh my God! I apologize.
Now, is that because
Did you
somebody
make it all the way through?
Did somebody tell you to do that?
This one.
Okay, so okay.
Yeah.
My apologies about those early episodes.
There's a difference. Anyway, my question is, what has been the most unexpected outcome from having a successful podcast that you wouldn't have believed 1,000 episodes before?
Oh wow!
That's a cool question. Probably what's happening right now. Like the first time, and this is funny for me. Like the first time I started getting like random people coming up to me, and I'm a social person, and I never had that experience where someone would come up to me, and you can see the look in their eyes when they look at you, like they feel like they really know you. And
they do if they listen to it.
Right, right. And I'm looking back going, and I'm pretty good with faces. I'm not the best always with names. And if I'm looking at your face, I'm going, fuck, I know I don't know this person right now, but they are looking at me like I should. And Katrina said I had a terrible look on my face all the time. She'd always be elbowing me and be like, just smile first. At least fucking smile. And then you could figure out, because I'd be like, hon, I don't know how to fucking react because I don't know who it is. I don't know if I'm supposed to know who they are. I don't know if they're looking at me or the person behind me. So that was... I didn't think about that because that stuff didn't matter to me. I mean, even all of us when we started this business, which is also, I think, what's contributed to the success of it, is it's never been about fame or being popular or Instagram likes or any of that stuff. It was always about the why, the message, what we wanted to do in the industry. Since we started, we talked early on that the goal was to scale ourselves out of the business. We wanted to do just this part right here. We didn't want to be the face of it. We didn't want to be in the videos. We don't want to be on YouTube. So because we were already like that, where that stuff didn't matter to us, when it started happening anyways, where people were recognizing you and coming up to you, I wasn't ready for that. And it felt...
it's weird.
Yeah, it was different at first.
Yeah, it's weird.
I think too, just the diversity of people that listen to us, like in terms of... We just come across so many walks of life and people, obviously, like this Air Force pilot. I'm like, what am I doing here? Like, why did you guys listen to us? Like, it just baffles me. Like, everybody in their unique business that they have. Like, it isn't even fitness related a lot of times too. Which we do get a lot of people that listen that are definitely like diehard fitness people, and they get our message like right away. But I feel like after this many episodes, we've been able to start to kind of break into people that really don't give a shit about fitness necessarily, but they just like kind of the banter and the stuff we do on the show. And we're starting to kind of reach a different type of an audience, which is cool. But I thought we'd just be talking to our gym people.
For the weird, I think when I think about how much I've grown personally with some of the guests.
That's a good point.
That I thought to myself when we first started this, I thought it would be really fun. We'd have great conversations. We're going to do a good thing. We're going to communicate what we've been communicating for so long to clients, but we get to do it now, through media. So hopefully we get to reach more people. I had no idea the growth that I would experience. The part of the growth is because I get to sit down and have really long, deep conversations with two really smart guys. Like we get to sit down on a podcast and go back and forth, and that's really cool. And so I grow through that. And then the guests, that's the crazy thing. We'll get guests that'll come in, and the crazy thing is oftentimes it's people that are super unassuming. Like we just had Sanjay Rawal as a guest. You guys listen to that? And we were all kind of like,
we almost didn't take the interview.
Yeah, we're like, oh, it's a endurance guy. runner.
We're big runners.
Yeah,
so.
exactly. And we're like, okay, well, let's talk to him. Maybe he's interesting. We'll see. And that podcast was very impactful. It's very, very impactful, and he made some amazing points.
It actually played it, and I didn't say that when you asked me earlier. It played in the role of getting the rower.
Oh,
I've been doing it with that kind of thought process in mind of
that
it being
spiritual,
being very meditative, and that's
cool.
why I don't have anything going. There's no TV. I'm down in my garage by myself.
Isn't that crazy?
That's
like
cool.
how many practices and things have we changed because of the people that we've talked to and met?
No, that's a good point. That's probably
I would have never guessed.
Yeah, that's blowing my mind. There's always something that it's never a month goes by.
Dr. Warren Farrell for me, and we've talked about this. Just the importance of rough play and me like really making sure to do that with my kids, because it was one of those things I kind of did when I'd get home or whatever. But it was like, oh wow, I realized like for developmental purposes and just behavioral purposes and just so many benefits to it that I didn't even realize like were tied into that. And I was like, oh wow, I'm definitely like doing this intentionally now.
And the other thing is that we have leverage because our podcast is now a certain size, which is crazy because I can call somebody who I would never get the opportunity to talk to. Like I'd never get the opportunity to talk to some of these incredible thought leaders and intelligent individuals and influencers, whatever you want to call them. But now I can call them or message them and be like, hey, I have this podcast. Oh, I've heard your podcast. Do you want to come into my studio? And I get to sit down and talk to these people. It was really surreal to sit down and interview these old school bodybuilder heroes of mine that I grew up watching in the 90s, like Flex Wheeler and Sean Ray, for example. I used to read about the routines in magazines. Now they're on my show, and I get to ask them whatever I want. I mean, it's freaking crazy. The growth, for sure, I would have never predicted at all. I would have never thought in a million years that I would have changed and grown as much as I have, and that I'm eternally grateful for.
My name is Elena.
So now, did someone turn you on to the podcast, or did you just find it randomly?
I have no idea how I found it. I found out you coached at Orange Theory Willow Glen, where I go.
Oh, okay.
So I found out after I'd been listening to it a little bit about that, related a lot more, and then,
Cool.
Been listening ever since.
Thank you.
Episode 1, which is my favorite episode ever.
Oh my God.
Female misexposed or whatever that is.
All right, that's
so
right.
So my question is, I love the MAPS programs, and I will do whatever a trainer or coach tells me to do in the gym. My problem is I don't know how to create my own fitness program so I can sustain that for life without paying someone else to do that. So I want to strength train for life, but I don't know how to construct that program.
Oh, good. That's a great question. You're on the right track.
Yeah.
You're on the right track. One of the best ways to figure out your body is just to constantly practice and train and practice and train. And over time, you start to learn, what works for you. You start to learn how to apply intensity for your body, what exercises seem to work best for you. Well, it takes a long time, but you're on the right track. Just being consistent alone will teach you a lot of what you need to know.
Not to mention that, but a lot of the motivation behind when we wrote MAPS we were writing it not just as a, hey, follow this program too. It was trying to like kind of teach the fundamentals too. And you guys know, if you listen to all the shows, that we encourage people to mold and change and customize for themselves. But the idea of the programs was to teach people the major philosophies, the big rocks of how you should phase in and out of your workouts, the importance of strength training, the importance of hypertrophy, the importance of endurance, how long you should stay in those types of adaptations and phases. So the idea that, you could literally go through, 3 or 4 of the programs and rotate through for the rest of your life, and you would be fine. You'd be better off than 90% of the people out there working out at gyms if you just did that. If you just went through the 3 foundational programs and rotate it through the rest of your life, you would be doing way better than most people.
In
So
fact,
we kind of put the blueprints out there for you to have structure. But at the same time, like the podcast itself is a way to kind of explain and teach those concepts in more depth. And I think that we tried to do that. And I know it's kind of hard to go back and kind of like tie them into what program you're on currently, but we've started to do that more in depth, like we just did with Maps Aesthetic, and we tried to kind of go, again to reiterate why we created it, like the concepts behind it, why those concepts are there, why we phase, why all these like certain acute variables were thrown in there, why we pair certain exercises together. So I mean, we've tried to. This is kind of like a comprehensive course in itself, where we're trying to present on the podcast. But we'll get there. We'll get there where it's like you can find it easier, and that will be able to pair to those programs, and you'll be able to then apply it. And this works really well with me and my body where I'm at currently. I'm going to apply these concepts, and our goal is to be able to keep educating all those points, and then you to be able to go through it and really figure your own body out and your own rhythms.
Yeah, think about it this way. Like, think about something that you do very well now. I don't know, maybe a hobby. Maybe you're really good at roller skating. Maybe you're a good cook. Maybe you're a good writer. Think about how it was when you first started and you had to learn fundamentals. You had to follow a structure. Maybe you had a coach. Maybe you played sports and you had a coach teach you. But after a while of doing it time and time again, it starts to become instinctual. It starts to become quite intuitive. It just takes a lot of time.
Well,
now,
not only that, but it's inevitable that there's going to be times where we know this. I mean, as much as I'd like to believe that everybody follows the program to an exact T and does everything, there's certain things. I mean, I just had my nephew. He's supposed to be following Maps Anabolic, and I try to check up with him whenever I can. And he's like, "Hey, Uncle, do you think it's time for me to move to phase 2?" And I said, "Well, how long have you been in phase 1 for?" 6 months. Why are you in phase 1 for 6? Well, because I've been getting gains. I keep hitting PRs. Because he's seeing all these results. I'm like, do your joints hurt? He's like, yeah, my knees are starting to bother me a little bit. Right. So you're going to do things like that. We know that. We know we're going to put these programs out with a lot of good rules in place and structure. And it's inevitable that people are going to get stuck in phases longer than they should because they like the way they feel. They like the way they look or whatever. And what you're going to do is you're going to do that enough times, and then you're going to do it right a few times, and you're going to see, oh, wow, I notice when I follow these rules, it really makes a difference. And, oh, when I kind of bend the rules here, not so much. So that's the idea is like you give you guys a really solid blueprint. Inevitably, people are going to weave in and out and probably stretch things longer, cut things shorter. And you find out when you listen to the show, the things that we are always trying to hammer home, like these are important, these are important. And it'll just start to come together, and you can start to blend, different philosophies and different programs. Like there's nothing wrong with running a Maps Anabolic, but because you really see lots of benefit from mobility exercises, like in performance, you take all the mobility days from performance and you put them inside of Maps Anabolic. You could totally do that. There's nothing wrong with that.
We're basically trying to show you the right direction, but to learn your own body takes time. Mm-hmm. And think about it this way. Look, the goal of what we do is to help people develop a lifelong relationship with exercise, fitness, and good health and good nutrition. So you're going to be doing this forever. So I guarantee you, if you continue this over time, you're going to get to that point. I promise you. It might take 5 years, it might take 10 years, but then the rest of your life, you'll go into the gym and you'll know what to do. You'll know when you need to stretch. You'll know when you need more sleep.
Look how long it took us, and we live and breathe this.
Well, but it
took me a very long time.
It did, but we didn't have the right direction.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Wish I had maps when I first started.
That's part of Mind Pump's mission is to be able to give.
It's like a shortcut.
Yeah, exactly. Is to give it took us 15, 20 years of screwing up for you guys in a much shorter form. So hopefully you get there a lot quicker than we did, but it still is going to take time. I mean, even if you went through every single program right now, that would take you almost 2 years with as many as we did. So it's going to take time of getting in there and practicing and seeing what works better for you, what areas you can't cut corners that makes the biggest difference. I think that.
And there's opportunities in the future for us. We have the forum right now too, which is great to like bounce ideas back and forth. If you're doing something right now and you're like, well, what if I incorporate mobility sessions with the aesthetic instead of the focus or whatever? Like people have either experimented, themselves with that or, have great ideas. And that's kind of like our our test kitchen for a lot of those types of things where you get through the programs, you do them to the T, and then now we experiment on our own body. We figure out, what really works best for us.
Hi, my name's Alia.
Hi, Leah. How long have you been listening?
Just under a year, and Michael here introduced me to you guys.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Good guy. Keep him around.
Yeah, when he first told me about it, I was like, they're probably just talking to guys. Like, I'm not going to listen to this, but I was wrong. So my question is, going back to the Mind Pump mission, if you guys were to accomplish the current mission, how would the business continue on, and how would you guys continue to add value to people's lives?
Oh yeah, I don't think there's going to be I don't think we're ever going to reach a destination. I mean, the mission is
we'll be like the Avengers at that point.
Yeah, no,
because we'll always have to defend all the assholes trying to come in all the time. That's
definitely not the Justice.
I mean, and for the listeners who are listening to the podcast, when you're referring to the mission, you're referring to us kind of changing the direction and the message of the fitness industry. One that's positive, one that's not based off of insecurities or based off of how terrible you feel you look or whatever. One that's filled with right information where if I were to read articles on fitness, I know that 90% of it's going to be accurate versus what it is now, which is 90% of it that's wrong. I think if we ever reach that, which would be amazing, we're just going to continue to foster it. We'll continue to foster that.
I don't think it's possible. I think to be honest, it's a losing battle. It really is. It's really more about how many people can we save or how many people can we impact, because we're talking about just a fitness space, and there's still the other 75% of the world that don't even give two shits about being healthier and better.
Yeah.
And we think that the fitness space is fucked up. So it's like if we can fix them, we still have a whole bunch more people that we got to try and impact, which is like to Justin's point earlier, that's really cool to see. And why we named it Mind Pump and it wasn't muscle something or fitness something is we wanted to be able to reach the people that may have never even gotten in the gym if it wasn't for listening to us. So, and we still haven't corrected the fitness industry. So if that ever could possibly happen, which I don't think it could possibly happen, we'll have an endless job of trying to reach the masses.
Our best bet, though, if we were to make the biggest impact, the strategy is to use new media to get as much good information out there as possible, reach as many people, and to influence the people in the field, the soldiers in the field, the trainers, the people who are actually training people. Because I know as a trainer, I knew this as a trainer, nobody impacted my clients like I could. They could listen to, shows, they could watch videos, but at the end of the day, the person who really impacted them the most was always going to be me because I'm their trainer. And so if we're going to do anything even remotely successful along those lines, it's going to be because of all the people that help us, and it's going to be the people in the gyms, the people on the battlefield who are talking to other people, who are influencing other people, who are helping other people. They're the ones that are really going to make the big change. We're just trying to. We have
to clean our house up first too. There's stuff like, so for example, what's happening right now behind the scenes of Mind Pump. We've been building out the new website all on HubSpot. It should go live probably in the next week or so. And the idea right now, where we're focused more so than even driving more revenue, like right now where we're at with our Facebook ads, we could turn up our Facebook ads and 3x the business. But we don't, because we're trying to service our current audience even better than what we are currently right now. So, and what I mean by that is right now, if some random person comes across a great guide that Sal wrote and they read it and they're like, oh my God, this was awesome. Who are these guys? Whatever. There's like an email sequence that starts getting dripped to them over the next 7 days. And the way we have it set up, it's to build value. It's not to try and sell and market to them right away. It's like every other day or every 2 days, they get like this nice email, fitness tips, cool YouTube videos, but it's still generic right now. Right now, I don't know who that was that opted in. And so what HubSpot's going to allow us to do, and we have somebody literally working around the clock on this right now because we get anywhere between 50 to 100 emails every day, that is starting to segment the people that are coming in. So I know, oh, this person's 35 years old, had 2 kids, trying to lose 30 pounds. Oh, she clicked on this guide. She read this blog. She's shopping around at this program. So I know who these people are. So then we can go back and go, oh, this podcast episode, these 3 YouTube videos, these 2 guides are perfect for her. Make sure those get sent over in a sequence and she gets that. So we're trying to find ways to give more free information, more better information, and
that's useful. It's useful to the people who are getting it.
Right. So we got to do. I mean, I want to get to a point where that we've done that so well before we even start to break out beyond that. But that's on the horizon right now. So it's really cool. You guys will see the new website and everything that's coming.
Then we got to make an AI version of us.
That's right,
dude.
CGI.
Lots of work.
Mm-hmm.
I'm the guy that put her on.
Thanks, man.
We like you.
Appreciate it.
But I've been listening. My name's Michael. I've been listening for about a year.
Cool.
I was wanted to listen to a podcast and listen to you guys. You guys are just talking shit, current events. I love it. But you guys are all great individuals. Who was like had the most impact on you guys in your life? Like the greatest mentors that had effect and influence you guys to become the guys that you guys are today?
Oh, wow. Wow. Okay, so easy, my parents. But besides my parents, I was blessed to have amazing mom and dad. Besides them, my first like mentor in fitness or in the business of fitness was my friend Don Cardona, a good friend of mine. He was a young general manager. I think at the time when I first started working with him, I had just moved over to the sales side. So I was a personal trainer, became a fitness manager. And in those days, personal trainers didn't move over to general manager or sales. It was you were either fitness or you were sales. So I expressed some interest and said, okay, before you become a manager, let's have you be an assistant manager just to kind of learn the ropes. In comes in this new general manager who's Don, and he, I think at the time was 20. Let's see, if I was 18 or 19, he was probably 22 or 23. So young dude, a lot of energy, very intense. And a absolutely brilliant communicator. I'll never forget one time where I was doing a presentation, a sales presentation. I was talking to a potential member. And of course, your goal is to get them to want to sign up for your gym and hire a personal trainer so that they can, get fit and all that stuff. And I was just talking, and I kept going, and I kept going, and I kept going. And Don hits me under the table. So I'm like, I stopped talking. So he took over. They ended up hiring a trainer and getting a membership. And when they left, he sat me down and he said, he says, Sal, he goes, you're very passionate and you do a really good job expressing yourself. You do a good job of, communicating what you're trying to communicate, but you're a terrible listener. He said, excellent communication is more about listening than it is about talking. And had you continued on that path, you would have probably blown them out of the door and they would have never come back. And so what I learned from Don was really how to communicate effectively, not just to potential members, but also to staff. He was also a phenomenal leader. He was my very, very first mentor. And later on, I ended up owning a business with him. And we're still in contact and we're friends. He actually owns a gym in San Jose right now. I think it's in the Silver Creek area. But I would say he was probably the most impactful because he was the first person. And since then, I've had many mentors. I learned later on that anybody could mentor me if they just had a skill that I was, that I found valuable. That I would watch what they did with that skill and just learn from observing. Even today, I get mentored by the men and women that I work with all the time. Justin, Adam, and Doug. They might not know. Actually, I probably told you guys, but there's certain things that they do that I admire, and I sit and watch and observe. And it requires you to kind of be humble enough to be like, this person's better at this thing than I am. But I think mentorship is probably one of the best things you can do to progress your growth, is to find somebody or to find something in somebody that's something you want to learn or better than what you're doing in that aspect, and just to pay attention and learn.
Yeah, I've always been seeking people that know things that I don't or are better at things that I'm not. And that's just been part of the process of trying to better myself, surrounding myself with people that I know are killers in whatever industry or whatever pursuit that they're a part of. And for me, it's all like in this time sequence of when I was interested in sports, I would gravitate towards the best athlete in the school, or really like spend that extra time with the coach that like could break down more of the logistics with me and all the specific things that will help me to improve. So I would just break down film for hours and hours and hours. And I had a couple mentors of coaches that really helped me improve my game. Coming back out here, I mean, obviously my dad and my parents were very influential in terms of, everything ingrained in me and my morals and just my character and everything with that. And then these men in this room too. I actually met Adam first, so I guess he's first before Sal. But I worked for him for, I don't know, maybe like 3 years. And it was another humbling experience. I never trained anybody before. I had trained myself and was confident that I knew what I was doing, but quickly learned I didn't know jack shit. Like I found people that just didn't even know how to get up off the ground. They were lifting weights like in a way that I didn't know was possible, with their arms flailing in all different directions. And it was confusing because I've always been around athletes who just immediately get it. And so, he gave me a lot of tools and ways to communicate and assess people. And, I picked up on that. And then there was other trainers there that I saw that were like the top of the class. And, I made sure to really mimic and mold the aspects of them that I saw, were the best attributes that they could provide me. And this has just been an ongoing process for me of finding people better than me and immersing myself, with it's that whole thing, right? It's the 5 people that, you hang out with the most, influence you and you become those people. So that's really what's happened to me. Like I hate like public speaking, but I'm getting better at it. I can't stand listening to myself talk, but I'm dealing with it. Like it's all those things. So I challenge people to, just really look for those people that aren't just there and they're comfortable. Like they're going to challenge you. You got to put yourself out there, and you really got to, like find the courage to get out there.
Well, we were really opposites when we worked together for sure. I think that complemented each other really nice. My first like real mentor that I ever had was, and I've told some of the stories I think on the podcast about him, but I don't know if I've shared his name, was Mark Baker. I was 21 years old when I met him. And at this time I'd been working for the company already for about a year and a half. So I'd already moved up the ranks really quick. I was now into management. I've been the top dog. I had set the club record for sales. I had set the club record for goal for a fitness manager. So I was kind of felt like I was the big swinging dick at this point. And for sure was cocky. And this guy comes in.
2 dick references.
I know, right in a row.
Right there. Boom, boom.
Yeah.
Pow, pow.
Freudian slips.
So this guy comes into my club. So this time we're getting a new manager, new GM's coming into the club. I've never met him before. I know Monday I'm going to see him at work. Well, part of the job as a fitness manager is to run the weekend. So I'm in there working on the weekend. And I get to work, I think at like 8 o'clock in the morning or so. And I go over to my computer and I check the daily SMR, which just kind of tells you what's going on with sales. And I just wanted to see, hey, did anybody put something up before I got here? And that's because part of my job is to oversee sales and make sure that we have a good day, successful Saturday and Sunday. And I click on it, and we're having the biggest day I've ever seen us have since I've been at this club. And the names on there are this guy, Mark, who I've never met. I'm like, what the fuck? This guy gets to my club. I've never even met him before. He's here I don't know how many hours he's here before.
Just flexes right away.
Right away. Like right away. So instantly has caught my attention. And, I introduced myself. He was totally rude. Yeah. That's what he was known for. Yeah, what's up? I'm Adam. I'm the fitness manager. Yeah. And he just walked right past me. This fucking guy, right? But I'm very competitive, and I'd never seen anybody do revenue with this, so I'm instantly interested in who this dude is. And he blew me away first by his work ethic. So much of my work ethic that I have today sure comes, some from my childhood, wanting to be successful, knowing that I have to work for the things that I want. So I definitely started there. It accelerated to another like ridiculous level when I met him. This guy must have been there at 6 a.m. His first day. He came in on a Saturday. He didn't have to work till Monday was his first day coming in. Already wrote more gross in revenue than I'd ever seen before. I'm like, dude, this dude's something else. So I first was attracted to that. And we started to become friends over time. And he caught me one time in the back office. And this is the story I've shared on the podcast before. And I had just crushed goal the month before. My DM is coming in to check up on me, and I think he's going to come down and tell me what a great job I did because I just crushed goal. And he comes in and he nitpicks all the things that I wasn't doing well, because I've talked on the show before that I just didn't have a lot of organizational skills. That was definitely a weakness of mine. I was not organized. Paperwork was everywhere all the time, but we were successful. I was good with people. I was good with running a team. And he comes in and just basically points out everything I'm doing wrong. And I'm not a poor me or victim type of person. So, okay, the very next day, I'm at my desk getting organized, fixing all the things that boss told me. And it's like 5, 6 o'clock at night. This is prime hours for the gym. And Mark walks back and he kind of does like a double look at me, and he sees I got all this paperwork scattered and I'm highlighting shit, getting all organized. And he walks over and he goes, whoa, and he clears my desk off. And I'm like, what the fuck? He's like, what are you doing back here right now? And I tell him my DM. I said, oh, my DM was in here and he told me this. And he says, listen, you're in your position for a reason at your age. He goes, stop focusing on the things that you're not good at. Focus on what you're good at and be great. And that was the first bit of advice that he had given me, that like this light bulb went off. Like, and of course at that time too, I'm going like, fuck yeah, that's what I want to hear too. I'm like, I don't want to be doing this shit. Like, let me go be me. And he did. He gave me that first bit of permission to not hang on all the things that I'm weak at, that I may never be great at. Still to this day, that's a weakness of mine. And we have employees that work for us to handle that side. That's how important it is that we have that, because I'm not that person at all. So that was the first bit of advice that completely changed my life forever, and I give that all the time. The other thing he taught me that has been unbelievably impactful, not just in business and in fitness, but in relationships and in life for me, was desired outcome. And him and I made a major bond. We went on to break a bunch of records together, became very tight friends. He got promoted. I got promoted different directions. But he was always the guy that I would call like when I was sweating things or I was about to fire off a nasty email to upper management or something. And I would call him before I would do it, because he would walk me through. And I looked up to him, and he would say, what's your desired outcome, Adam? And I'm heated, and I'm all heated. I want to say this one, and the first response is, fuck him. I want to tell him this. I'm mad. I'm like, really? What do you think's going to happen from that? What do you want to happen from that? Is that the best approach to get what you want? And, I'm a self-aware, smart enough guy that if you stop me like that and you make me really think about it, and you're like, okay, probably sending a nasty email, saying this, this, and this. And if my desired outcome is he stops doing these things, that's probably not my best approach. And then he would challenge me to really think that entire conversation out. And that completely changed how I led, my relationships too. Like, and this is the advice I always give to anybody that's ever worked for me, is I teach this same thing, because if we could all just do that, and there's old cliche things of count to 10 before you say shit like that. But even a step further than that is think of what your desired outcome is. Like, what are you trying to accomplish from this conversation? And is your approach right now the best approach for that? Those two things, and he's taught me many other things, but those two things fundamentally changed who I was as a person and as a leader forever. And forever, I'll be forever grateful for the relationship that I've had with him.
I'm Javier. Found out about the show from Thomas Kubota, actually.
Tommy.
It's funny, you guys. Yeah, just had
You a
the
24-hour guy?
No, I worked at a gym in Gilroy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
good deal.
From. So my question is, Mind Pup aside, what do you guys think would be your personal or individual legacies, or how do you want to be remembered?
Oh, geez.
Wow.
Besides Mind Pump, I'd want to be remembered as a good father to my kids, for sure. That's a big one for me. When especially after I went through a divorce while we were on the podcast, like during the podcast. I think it was how far in were we when that happened? About a year.
A year, yeah.
About a year into it. So that's after 15 years of marriage, 2 kids, and very difficult for anybody who's ever been divorced. It's a difficult process, and I thought to myself, okay. And one of the reasons why it took so long for that to happen, because we probably should have got divorced 10 years earlier. But the reason why it lasted as long as it did is because you don't want to hurt your kids, or you don't want to put your kids through the whole process of divorce. It can be challenging for a kid to have 2 separate households, to have parents that are split up, that whole thing. So when that happened, I thought, okay, how can I make this the best out of this scenario? How can I be the best father I possibly can be for my kids? And I realized that it was through my relationship with my ex-wife. So the irony is, we got divorced because we had a bad relationship, but after the divorce, we learned to develop the best relationship we had developed. And it's not perfect, it's not great, but that was the goal. And the goal was always to just leave that legacy to my kids. I want my kids to, when they think about me one day, to be like, my dad was a good dad. He was there for me. He allowed me to talk to him honestly and openly. He supported me. He pushed me when I needed to be pushed. He held me when I needed to be held. That's probably the most important thing to me in the world.
Is it cheating if I use my kid now too?
No, man.
You can.
You're in the same place.
I feel like
now.
that's the cheating
You can
answer.
totally do it.
That's not cheating because it's real, man.
I know. I believe that, and I'm sure mine will align with that also. But I've been asked
to say ditto. No,
I've been asked this question a few times, and I don't think that I've articulated it very well. Because when I say it, I think sometimes it comes off very narcissistic, and that's not how I mean for it to come off. But
Lambo. And,
yeah, right. That's what I want.
I want a boat.
Yeah. I want to be remembered as the most handsome podcaster.
No, I had this dream of my funeral, and it literally being at like an arena, and not because I'm famous.
Right?
No, this is the part that's it's hard to say. It's hard to explain this without sounding very narcissistic.
Everybody's just chanting, Adam. He's a fucking best.
Crying, everybody's crying. Oh.
Sorry.
I knew you assholes were going to do that. But it's not because we're famous or I get famous or anything like that at all. It's because I've impacted so many lives over my entire life that they feel compelled to be there. And that is the way I think about that. And, I've already had probably 1,000 clients, maybe more if you count the camps and trainers that I've led and the extension of that. And God knows if we've impacted, enough lives on the podcast yet or not. But to that point where that I have fundamentally changed that many people for the good, that they want to be there, that they want to be there. And so, yeah, I know when I first lead with that and I say that, it sounds like, oh, I want to be famous. And it's like, no, I don't want a bunch of people showing up because they want to say they went to my funeral because I was popular or cool. I want that many people to have been impacted by me, whether it be on the podcast or in person or whatever. And so for me, that's kind of like what I think about when I think about my legacy. Now, that's been a long dream of mine for a long time, well before Mind Pump. And now that I have a kid coming, I'm sure that it'll probably be along those lines. I mean, Maximus means the greatest Schaefer ever. So, I mean, I'm going to pour everything in it, anything I can into him. And my goal is he's 10 times the man that I am. So that is my legacy. I know that. But I also...
We're all so excited for that.
Yeah.
All of us are pumped for that, man.
Yeah,
that's so great.
No, it's going to be cool.
Yeah. Have you guys ever been to a funeral like that where just tons of people were just...
I've been to one. It was like an Irish wake where they just got like shit-faced.
It
was fun.
Katrina's stepfather's funeral was not quite that massive, but it was big. There was probably about...
A lot of people that he impacted.
400 people there. And maybe this is... I don't know. The dream was before that, but I do remember that impacting me, seeing that... So the way they had it like a celebration, right? They set it up like the wake was set up like a celebration, and you came into this big cathedral, and it was completely packed. They had 2 big screens that were playing like, video clips of him, and then pastor came up, kind of spoke about him for a little bit, and then they opened the mic up for people to talk, and it never ended. Like you ended up leaving because for hours, people just kept wanting to come up. And it gets me choked up just thinking about it. People kept coming up and just sharing the impact that he had made on their lives. And so, and it looked like every single person in there wanted to get a turn to get up there and to say something. And I was like, whoa.
That's that's legacy, 100%.
Right, right.
So along those same lines, I mean, for me, it's about what we started with, which is just the integrity, the unwavering integrity, to where I just hope that people find our decision-making process as something, to emulate that helps embolden their life and better their life outside of just health and fitness. So whatever I can do to, at least start with that conversation of here's how to better yourself physically. Here's how to, better yourself nutritionally and like empower yourself with health. Let's start there. But, life is so much more than that. It's about relationships. It's about, your kids. It's about, giving back to the community. It's about like everything else but you. And I think that society now, for me, it's so much about ourself, and we're always putting ourself out there on social media, and it's the most narcissistic like environment I've ever seen. And I think that we're all suffering as a result of that. And I think that for me, it's I just want to make sure that like we are an example on some level to be able to at least, I mean, I want to give as much as possible, but at the same time, I want to empower other people to provide the right message, whether it's through a health vessel or whatever it is your career is. Do the right thing, like have integrity, like, make sure that what you're doing, people are watching you, that you're always checking yourself.
Stay authentic, right?
Stay authentic. Be yourself, no matter what. That was heavy.
Hello, my name's Jackson. I've
What's
been
up,
listening
Jackson?
for about 2.5 years, and
You have the record so far, 2.5, right?
2.5 years. Yeah. I actually didn't even know what a podcast was until my friend Miranda was like, "You're really into fitness. You should check these guys out." So
Oh, cool.
Went and checked you guys out. And,
Awesome.
Yeah.
Started from the beginning. So my question is, do you think people will ever make the switch from only aesthetics being like their main focus to general health and longevity being the main focus and kind of the cooler thing to do than just, I'm shredded and I have a six-pack?
Oh, good question.
I don't.
love it.
Well, okay, so here's why I'll counter you, because I kind of agree with you, but I can also see.
Bring it. I'll disagree.
Yeah, here's why I think that we may see the opposite. I am on Adam's side. I don't think so. I think we're all driven by this kind of surface level way of thinking.
That's not the only reason why I think that, though.
Well, hold on. Here's why I think it may reverse at some point. I think at some point we'll get to the point where we'll get all that, or where technology will get so good you can literally either edit your genes, you could change how you look, make yourself look amazing. You could take a pill that's going to burn body fat. You could build muscle super easily, and people are going to realize that it's empty. And this is the truth now. Okay, so and I use this example all the time. When you look at people, for example, who win the lottery, they've done obviously studies on this, and they find that most of them are bankrupt within a few years and are no happier than they were before they won the money. Unless they were in total poverty, there's a certain amount. I think they said something like $75,000 a year. After that, your actual happiness and meaning doesn't even go up, regardless how much money you make. I think if I had a pill today that you could swallow that would literally make you look the way you wanted to look, I think people initially would be excited and happy and would be great. I look awesome. But I think they would soon realize that that wasn't what they thought they wanted.
Yeah, but they wouldn't stop taking the pill, though.
Well, I don't know if they will stop taking the pill, but they may focus on the other things. Like, it's the journey. In other words, it's the journey to get there that you get that growth from. Those of you that are sitting there who've worked out for a long period of time, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And so that's the possibility. The possibility is we'll get to the point where we're going to get all the aesthetics we want. Everyone's going to look beautiful. People are still going to be miserable. They're going to be.
Do you think so?
It may. If we ever get to that point, it
I don't
might
think we
happen.
will, though. I don't think we're going to get there.
You don't think so?
No.
You don't think we're going to get all like robotic bodies?
Well, that's
Hopefully.
maybe that, but
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, maybe you have some robotic limbs and stuff like that. But in our lifetime, I don't think we see.
Not in our lifetime.
Yeah, I don't see anything that crazy. I don't know, dude. I can't get on board. I can't get on board with people not or letting go of that. And in using your argument with the.
I mean, I'm trying to stretch it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but I mean, you bring up a good argument of like, why do we even desire an aesthetic physique? Like, why are we attracted to it? And there's evolutionary reasons why we are.
Yeah, it represents health.
So the exaggeration of that will always be there. So that internal desire, I think, will always be attracted to this aesthetically pleasing to the eye physique. And people being shredded is just an exaggeration of that, or I don't think that for those reasons alone that it'll ever go away.
Well, I will say this: you have to sell it right. So one of the things that we try to do on the show is we know what the right message is, but we try to find a way to communicate it to make it effective. Because if I just say you shouldn't work out for looks, you should work out for health, I'm going to reach approximately 0 people. Nobody's going to give a shit what I say. But if I say this, if you chase aesthetics, eventually you'll lose aesthetics and you'll have poor health. If you chase health, you'll get great health, and as a side effect, you'll get great aesthetics. Now I've sold you. And so the idea is to sell the message effectively. So what I'm trying to do is get all the people who just want to look good, and I'm trying to tell them, hey, here's how you look good, chase health. And then hopefully through that process, they learn that that's the way to do it. They figure it out, like, okay, I'm trying to look better by chasing health. I am looking better because I'm chasing health, but wait a minute, this feels a lot better. Now I'm just going to focus on this over here. but it's a uphill battle. You got to be kidding me. I mean, you're not gonna. I would say 9 out of 10 clients that I ever got in my entire life, you tell them, hey, what are your fitness goals? It's all aesthetic driven. I want to change this. I want to change that. Here's the part of my body I want to look better. I want to sculpt this area. It was almost never, I want to, be healthier. If it was because they had a wake up call. I had a heart attack. I just want to get healthier. But oftentimes,
I feel like we're going in the other direction anyways. Like we're turning into this attention whore.
It's got to go that real far before it goes back.
Because we're getting crazier first.
Oh yeah.
And an example of that is like I could take a post of me being shredded for a show and post it right now, and it'll get more likes and comments than any of my last fucking 50 posts. I mean, even people that know Mind Pump, know our message, know what we talk about, still reward that. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what we want, and I don't know. And I feel like we want more of that. I don't know if in our lifetime, I don't see that.
That's like we hope for that, but at the same time, I'm with Adam on that. Like I think that like we're animals at the end of the day. We try so hard to deny the fact that we have all these like attractions and impulses, and like we're drawn to certain people that look a certain way, and there's just that's just a part of the process, like as human beings. But in terms of education out there, I think that like we're trying to put a dent into that in terms of like how to do that more appropriately, and how to get sort of both, and to be more health minded in the process. Even if you want to get on stage and look like this crazy god, there's a way to do that where you're not just going to destroy your metabolism.
Yeah.
And I think that if we can at least start there and like get people to understand that part of it, then maybe it'll kind of trickle back to, well, maybe we should just be more focused on health and be happy, and everything else will sort of
fall into place.
Yeah, fall in.
It's funny too because we still haven't solved aging. So if you're somebody that's super obsessed with your body and you identify with how good looking you are, you're gonna have at some point you're gonna learn a lesson. At some point you get old, and it's funny when you meet these people. When you meet these 60, 70, 80-year-old people who were beautiful, gorgeous, identified with their looks when they were younger. A lot of celebrities are like this. Like they're celebrated for being hot or good looking. And then they hit 50, 60, 70, and the plastic surgery and the things that they do to themselves to try to reclaim those what they consider golden years. It is a terrible place to be. They can never really truly accept themselves. By the way, I'm speaking out of experience. I started working out and I got in the fitness industry because I was incredibly insecure about my own body, and it caused me to do a lot of bad things to myself. And I'm glad I learned that lesson, because I don't know where I'd be right now if I did. I definitely wouldn't have the voice that I have now on the show, but I don't know where I'd be. My body had to rebel for me to learn that lesson. So I think at some point you'll learn it one way or another. But the scenario I came up with earlier, technology solves all these problems. We live forever, always look beautiful. If that ever happens, I think people will then realize like, oh shit, like this is not at all what I thought it would be.
What's up, guys?
What's up, man?
My name is Adam. I first started listening to you guys, I think like early 2016, probably like January or something.
Good deal.
Okay.
But and you might think this is cool, actually. I was visiting my sister in Dubai, and somebody down there put me onto you guys.
No way.
Yeah.
All the way out there, huh?
Super
Crazy.
random, but
Did you work out at one of those gyms over there?
yeah, they have a bunch of them on the beach and stuff, kind of like, I don't know, like
Venice Beach style?
self-weighted, like you sit on the chairs and you like lift yourself,
right.
that kind of stuff. But yeah, so I have kind of a business-facing question. So also a mandatory shout-out to the boys back home. Sorry, I had to.
No problem.
Yeah, so I was wondering if you're in the process of kind of growing and expanding a business, and you decide you want to branch out. And I'll be more specific here. For example, you guys have a podcast, but you also have a YouTube channel, and you got your Instagram accounts, and I know you talk about developing the app more. I feel like it's really easy to kind of get lost in the weeds when there's a lot of things going on, and I'm kind of wondering how do you prevent spreading yourself too thin, and how do you dictate and judge, when a certain aspect deserves a lot of resources and time, without kind of, because you don't want to half-ass any of the parts.
Right. No, this is a great question.
It is a good question, and we answered this just recently at one of the talks we did, and I gave the analogy of like investing in stocks, where 80% of your money is going to be invested in like your safe bet, like a stock that you know is going to, you never know, but the stock that you're pretty confident that isn't going to lose you. It may not gain you a lot of money, but you're confident in it. So I use that as like, okay, when you look at all the platforms out there, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, email marketing, YouTube, all of them, I look at the one, what I mean by the one that's you're going to win the most, the one that you speak the best on. So like somebody who is quick and witty and responsive, like Twitter is your game. If you're great with shooting pictures and angles and great captions, like Instagram's your game. If you do really well with like long form and you write really well, then like blogging and email like is probably a really good place for you, and even Facebook. So first of all, figuring out what platform works the best for you, but then to not neglect the other ones like you would stock. So you take 80% of your time and money is being vested in whichever platform you think that you speak the best on, but you're smart enough to know that you need to get real estate on all the other ones, because there is always that chance that Twitter shuts down or YouTube shuts down, and then podcasting. I mean, the likelihood of all of them all shutting down all at once, that's probably not going to happen. So making sure that you diversify so you don't get screwed and you're only on one platform, I think that's smart. But I would double and triple down on the one that you best speak on, whichever one that is. So I would put a lot of my eggs, not all of my eggs, in that basket, and try and get my traction there. And then I would be slowly even like with like a conversation that happens. Did Enzo leave already? Enzo is working on like the Spotify for us right now. I've been constantly hammering that. Like, we got to get on Spotify. Like, we're a fitness company. Like, people would think like, why Spotify? Well, I believe in the platform. I believe that they're going to be here for a long time. I like them as a company. If we could actually end up being almost like a DJ where we have all these different stations that you tune into on Spotify. So Mind Pump Rock, Mind Pump Hip Hop, Mind Pump House, whatever. And we have and it's a rotating playlist. So it's always new cutting edge shit. Like, how many people in here wouldn't probably be listening to that? So you would. And that's just another place that I can capture your attention and service you, which then again leads me later on to be able to sell advertising or market in different ways, or just have you over there. So no, I think it's smart for you to try and diversify as much as you possibly can, but to spend a majority, 80% of your time on the platform that I think best.
And I think it's a little, so when we first started, it was a culmination of a lot of different trial and error businesses and different ventures that we were all kind of separately doing. And we didn't know that podcast was going to be the one that took off. We didn't know that, but we just decided to try it. And so we all had different things going on. Meanwhile, we're still building this and figuring out like, wow, we're getting traction with this. This is crazy. And so then after that, it's like, okay, this is a legitimate business. Let's start fostering this. And then it became more than actually what I probably thought, where we are today. But then this became a battle of there's all these other avenues, like you're mentioning YouTube, and we're on email, and we're Facebook, and Instagram, and you have to look at what you're actually doing on all these platforms and what the best usage of it is. And so for us, like, to be able to communicate with fans, like, Instagram's awesome for that. For having a forum on Facebook, that's amazing. So that can kind of feed in with our programs. Our like the meat of this business is the podcast and then our programs. And that's where we spend most of our efforts and energy around. But it's important that we do embed ourselves in these other platforms, because like Adam's saying, it can change, and they can change algorithms, and maybe iTunes all of a sudden shuts us down. So we just have to remain flexible as a business to remain ahead of the curve. And it's just one of those things. Like, what kills a lot of businesses is they don't think ahead into the future. When you find something that's really successful and hitting stride, that's what makes me even more nervous. I'm like, we got to really think about the future of how we can keep, stoking this fire, and, be flexible. So really it's about, making sure that we have a stake in different platforms, but not too much energy.
I'll keep it short. I think just know what to say no to. That gets hard as you grow. It's like what do you say no to, and just double down on the ones that you think the ones that you think are relevant to you, the ones you have passion over.
How's it going? I'm Tyler.
What's up, Tyler?
Hey, Tyler.
My question is for you guys. I've been listening since 2016. Jordan Harbinger, when you guys.
Good buddy of ours.
What excites you guys most about the next 1,000 episodes?
Oh man.
Woo-ha.
More stuff like this.
Will we make it that far?
Yeah, we'll see. More stuff like this, I think, makes me excited. Like I'm starting to really enjoy having people in front of us, and while we're podcasting, touching more people in live events. Probably.
Oh yeah.
That's more of the I guess the near future. What gets me excited. Long term, gosh, just continue to do what we do. It's crazy. I've never not gotten bored after doing something for 4 years.
Oh, we were just talking about how it's more exciting today.
It's more exciting. Every job I've ever done or every business I've ever had, after about 2 or 3 years, I start to get bored. Want to do something else. This, I never get bored. It's really crazy.
We keep looking for a ceiling. There's no ceiling.
Yeah, it's really exciting.
Well, to Sal's point about the, doubling down on the things that are important to you or that you do well at. When we first built this, we really did get out. I mean, we used to do these Orange Theory talks, and the whole reason why we started this business was to impact the fitness industry and impact people. Nothing impacts people more. Maybe the podcast reaches tens of thousands of more people than we could potentially do in a small room like this. But when we get a chance to hang out with people and you get the chance to really meet us, for sure it fundamentally impacts people way more than the podcast does.
It impacts us.
Yep.
And so one of the things that we talked about at the beginning of this year, and this is, I think, so important, this is just a business lesson, period. Like as a company grows and scales, it's very easy, especially when it's successful and it's doing well, to be looking at all the other opportunities to make money and this and that. And the reason why we all still do so well together is before there was a dollar made, everybody agreed on what the why was and what we were trying to do. And when we all sit together and we could be arguing, oh, I think we should do this. No, we do this. Oh, we can make so much more money over here. And we go, well, why did we start this? What are the things that'll do that? Like this type of stuff, and like what we did last Friday and what we're doing next Friday, getting out in front of trainers and helping them with sales and doing stuff where we're kind of getting back in our community. That nothing is more in line with our why than that. And so it excites me that we've made that a major priority this year. Now, we haven't announced it on the podcast, but we're trying to get as many events as we can in person this year and really make that like a very regular thing next year. So we're trying to work out all the kinks, and because it does cost us a lot of money to travel somewhere. Like the whole team comes, like that's a $7,000 bill for all of us to show up to go put on a free event. And even though we're not about the money, we also can't be losing money like that at that rate.
Yeah, we won't be able to continue doing what we do.
Right. So a lot of the focus this year is to get to a point where, whether it be sponsors or other people that are taking care of us to come in and speak at their events, so we go to people. That excites me. It excites me we get to do that. I have a lot of fun every time I get to hang out with people like you guys that are here. Literally nothing makes all of us happy. I mean, we had the most fun doing those.
It's super humbling. There's one, I'm going to bring this up, and it makes us get emotional every time. I know you guys remember this.
Paleo FX.
Yeah, we were at Paleo FX. This was 2 years ago?
Yeah.
And we're walking through and we're having a great time and we're bullshitting and we're fucking with people and being ourselves, and we're on our way out and all of us are walking together and Justin is like nowhere to be found. I turn around and some girl, and she was like 17 years old, had grabbed his arm and stopped him. So we all go over to see what's going on. And this girl had terrible eating disorder. She almost died at one point. And she said that the thing that saved her was just listening to us on the podcast. Made her laugh, made her smile, and then she was able to start caring about herself differently because of the things that we were saying. And she started crying. We all started crying. And we left, and we were just that much better. That much better people, but that much better at what we're doing here, because this is driven by our passion. So when I meet people and I get to hear what's going on, it makes me way better.
It elevates us.
It elevates us.
That was a real impact, and
it's crazy.
Man, that hit me hard. Yeah.
Oh, it was a tough one. That was a tough one. But I remember we all left and we were like driven like we'd never been driven before. And every time we meet people and we talk to people, it's always like that. So that's
the live events are going to be cool.
Yeah.
I'm really excited. And, that's Taylor and Rachel's passion. They love that side, and they've been gearing up for some time to really do that. Tahoe was probably the first real big event that we threw, and this year we're fixing all the kinks, and I think next year there'll be a lot more of that stuff, and that's going to be really exciting.
What's up, guys? My name's Brandon.
What up?
I actually got turned on to you by my sister's ex-boyfriend, who I actually went to Lee High School. They all went to Lee High School, and somehow they knew Sal.
Oh, really?
So,
good deal.
Lee,
I don't know.
All right.
They're hella old then, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
25.
Oh.
Yeah. So screw you.
Yeah.
Anyways, as people are getting more obese and more personal trainers are needed, and we have a crazy rise of technology, do you think that personal trainers in person is going to be more of a thing, or do you think the technology is going to take it over and the apps are going to take over that?
I think technology is going to be a great tool, but I think nothing is going to ever replace person to person. Because think about this, okay? Maybe you guys experienced this yourselves when you first got into fitness. It's hard.
Yeah.
It's a hard lifestyle change. You're changing your life. You're changing how you operate. You're changing what motivates you to eat the way you do. You're changing your activity. You're changing the way you view yourself. These are behaviors that have to be changed, and it's very difficult to do without a real live person who's empathetic, who's listening to you, who's understanding you, who's guiding you. It's a very difficult thing to do. Now, can you impact people virtually? You definitely can, but I think it's more of a start to get them in the right direction. Like, I hope people listen to the podcast and they're like super motivated, and then they go hire a really fucking good trainer. And that trainer is the one that really makes those changes. But
I think technology will impact people who are pretty much like self-motivated already. I know there's doctors now, and there's other like practitioners and physical therapists that are using technology to help gather more data, more information that they couldn't before to convey to their patients. And I think that personal training is no different, to where we're still going to need somebody to interpret all this information, to their clients. And I don't feel that AI is going to be able to have that intuitive insight, in terms of like being able to communicate on a level where, like, person to person, I could tell something's off, and like, let's talk about it. And it's more of like like it's a therapy session at that point. But we needed to have that conversation for you to now accept where you are, and then and that was like sort of the sticking point that we had to tackle that. So I think it's a great tool, and I think that like trainers really need to get versed in like modern technology in ways that they can apply it with their clients. But I always see the need for person-to-person interaction. We just need that as human beings.
I think as a company, we're banking on that. We put a lot of those trainers out of business, to be honest. I mean, when I mentioned to you guys about what we're doing with HubSpot, one of the things, like what Ann will do, like she'll come across somebody who bought a program, emails in and says, this is what's going on with me. My knee hurts, this, that. And she has like this very custom list. And then she'll send that over to Sal, and then Sal's beginning to look at the camera and speak to that person. Then that now gets categorized over to somebody who has knee pain, going through this. And so we're kind of building out that capability of giving you that almost in-person, speaking to me, answering exactly what I need to know so I could go in then and apply it to the gym. I think AI is definitely going to take over a lot. I think right now there's plenty of room for someone to start tomorrow and be a trainer in person, and I think I advise people to do that first. I think it would be extremely challenging to be somebody who's never trained a client before and then go straight into virtual coaching, like to Sal's point. Like, I think that would be super difficult. The only thing that I think that makes me a decent virtual coach is because of all the experience and all the people, and I've heard this a million. When someone sends me something, I'm like, this is not the first time I've heard this, Mm-hmm. And so I have the answers. Like, if I hadn't had done that with so many people in person, I don't know if I would have those answers.
I think we put shitty trainers out of business, but for sure, nothing we could ever do would ever be better than me talking to and being with someone in person, or you being with someone in person. And I'll argue that we've probably made more personal trainers become trainers than we've put out of business, or we've made bad trainers more good trainers. I think the barrier to enter is lower. So if you need help and you can't afford personal trainer, well, the technology is going to be great because you get great information. It's personalized. It's a lot less expensive. But would anything that we ever create that I could even comprehend that we could create, would that ever be as good as me working with someone in person? No way.
No, of course. Will it be better or as good? No, of course not. It'll never. But I think it's going to do a big fucking dent.
Oh,
and I think if you're not, I think if you're in business and you're not thinking that it will one day, and
sure,
100%. I mean, we're already starting to see this. I mean, you're going to be able to hands free at all times in your house, your car, whatever like that. Just speak the question that you have, and a fucking video, a long form, or whatever form you want it in, is going to pop up. Yeah. And so imagine you being a client working in your gym at home, and you have Alexa or whatever tools inside there, and you're like, say, oh, I'm on MAPS Anabolic Phase 1, this, that. I mean, Tom Bilyeu's building him. I remember talking to him, it was like 2 years ago. I sent him a text when I saw he was already doing things with Alexa, and I said, what are you doing on Alexa already right now? Are you seeing return on that? He's like, nah, this is for 10 years down the road, bro. Like, and he's already planning that, all that stuff there, so that you can say something into Alexa and anything that Impact Theory has touched on that. So, yeah, man, I think that it's going to be. Now, I think at the beginning of that, smart trainers that are not insecure and feel okay with sharing Mind Pump's knowledge and information will be smart and will use us. And this is what, when I talk to trainers, I always tell them, like, if you are trying to be smarter than us or be smarter than every trainer, that's silly. Like, why? Like, it's still to this day. That's why when you look at our YouTube channel, it's a reflection of us as trainers. Like, you see a bunch of other really smart people on there. Like, you know, I have such the Henry Ford approach when it comes to fitness. I'd much rather find the guys and the girls that are much wiser than I am, and then I share that with my clients. I don't need to be the guy that gives them that information. It's like, hey, I'm the filter for that. And so I do see trainers still being in the mix because of that. So maybe you're the middleman between somebody, so you have a client, but think about what that cost will be. It's going to drive the cost extremely low. It'll be like, I hire a trainer for $100, and your job is literally to use all the resources that Mind Pump has probably spent at that point, millions of dollars of building it out to make it so simple for you, to where you can just go, oh, 35-year-old, this needs to lose weight, knee pain, this, that, okay. And then you can just send over all these videos, all these speaking almost directly to that person. That's
Either way, it's going to be a lot different. And it's definitely going to be a lot different. I think that trainers need to prepare for that and get, involved more with like all these different uses of, technology to get clients and also, evolve their business so that way they're not left in the dust.
Hi. I'm Kat. I've been listening for about 3.5 years before I've become a trainer. And now I'm a trainer, so it's been really cool to listen to you guys throughout that process.
Awesome.
Sweet.
So this is totally a trainer question. My biggest weakness, I think, is I get frustrated that my clients don't care about their health the way I care about their health. And I get maybe a little intense with them, and I just get upset like I'm failing them. So I would love to know your advice on how to handle things like that and not take it so personally.
Very common, by the way. Very common, especially, fitness is a passion-driven industry, so people don't typically become trainers because they're trying to make a lot of money. They do it because they love fitness. And so you're so passionate about these people, you care about their health. They don't care about their health. It's almost like when you have a loved one who's sick and you want to get them better and they don't want to, and you're like, let me just force you, and you want to choke them. I'd say you have to understand that in order for you to be effective, you have to meet them where they're at. Okay? And there's no amount of forcing or hammering or anything you can do that's going to help, that's going to get them to move faster than they want to move. Mm-hmm. And so you have to accept that. I blew a lot of clients out the door because I was that trainer. I'd sit down with them and I'd have these come to Jesus talks, and you're not doing what I'm saying. You're not eating the meal plans. You're not working out on your own. You got to do these things, otherwise I don't want to train you. And I'd blow them out, and I would do them no benefit, because at the very least they were showing up to train with me, twice a week. So at the very least they were doing something. It's a long process. It's a slow process. It's a difficult process. Meet them where they're at. Be honest with them. Don't lie to them. So I used to be very honest with my clients, and I tell them, look, here's why you're not getting to the goal that you wanted. It's because of these things that you do. But that's okay. At least you need to know that, and it's okay. But when you're ready to accomplish those goals, you know what you need to do. Until then, I'm here for you. You're showing up for your sessions. Let's have a good workout. Mm-hmm. And at the very least, I can make that kind of an impact. And when I understood that and had that attitude, way more successful as a trainer. I had one guy, great, he's a family friend now. I remember he hired me, and when I was learning this process is when I trained this guy, and he wanted to lose 35 pounds. It took him 3.5 years to lose 35 pounds. Do you know when he lost the 35 pounds? The last 6 months of that whole process. The whole first 2.5 years was him just showing up to his workouts. I would talk to him about fitness and nutrition, and he'd go off and eat pizza and do whatever, and we'd work out together. But after about 2.5 years, that momentum started to build, and he just did it himself.
Yeah.
I haven't trained this guy for 4 years, and guess who's never gained the weight back, and guess who's still working out? Mm-hmm. He is. So you got to meet them where they're at, have that empathy for them, be honest with them, but also be that rock for them, also be that support for them.
Right, and we covered this not too long ago. That was the main thing, is that you're as consistent as possible. Like your message, you're not wavering your message. You're always there. You're super professional. They can count on you always having their best interest in mind and giving them just like seeds of information that will help to meet them where they're at. But you just have to wait. I mean, you have to wait for them to really buy into the process a lot of times. And, it's frustrating as a trainer because all you want to do is help, and you want to see that progress happen because you know what that can do. And you really watch people flourish once they get the bug and they accept it. But again, it's even if you do push them really hard in that direction, a lot of times I've found in my career, it's the more I push, like maybe we'll have temporary gains, but it just didn't last. It didn't have that sticking power that it would when they came up with the idea themselves.
Yeah, they resist more.
They just had a moment, in life, whatever the circumstance was, where they're like, oh, I am not doing this anymore. I'm going to, tomorrow we're changing. I'm doing all these things, and then they just take off with it. So just be available for them and be consistent.
This is one of those things that we're all going to repeat the same thing, because when I think of sure, we disagree on a lot of stuff and we openly debate stuff on the show. There are definitely some core things that we've all come to as truths. And the truth is, like what Sal said, is you'll have to learn to meet those people. Now, I think you can get better at communicating that. So something that's helped me, or where I got better, and I know I say this all the time on the show, like a broken record, but the first big step for me is like, if I can't get you to track for a week and show me what you've been doing, like you can't even hire me. Like, so that's to be able to hire me. Before they even pay me, I say, first go do all this, because I'm going to ask you to do that no matter what. So if you're already shopping me as a trainer, or we were thinking about doing a contract together or whatever, it's like the first week is tracking your steps, tracking your food, and doing all that stuff. Like that's bare minimum. Like if I can't get them to commit that, the whole rest of this process is going to be an uphill battle for you. So that you got to nail that down. Like get them to at least do that. And then when I do that, I'm looking at all the things that I know they're probably doing wrong. Like, and I've talked common offenders. Not enough fiber, too much sugar, not enough protein. Calories could be really low too. Very often you get somebody that has a broken metabolism or a very slow metabolism. And so when I sit down and I've assessed everything for the week, and we're that first conversation, it's very key to paint all the things that we're saying right now, and to let them know that, what happens with most clients, it's most clients just can't keep the consistency up, can't make the behavioral change. And so it's very important to me as a trainer that I get you to do that. And what I will never do is I'll never throw the whole kitchen sink at you, because you'll never be successful that way. So what I want to do with you is I want to look at one or two things, and I want you to we're going to dial that in until it's just become a habit and second nature for you. And so whether that be we're looking just at fiber first, because this person anything else is too much and too overwhelming, we're just going to get that down until like you've proven that to me. Then once you've proven that, we're going to move on to the next thing, and then we're going to move on to the next thing. And so if you kind of set the table at the beginning that you're not even going to give them a bunch of things to focus on, and this is the right way to do this for the long term. And I used to always do that takeaway to them, where I'd say, I know you're hiring me. I know you want this now. Do you want me just to help you lose the 30 pounds and just get there by any means whatsoever? Or would you like me to help you lose the 30 pounds and keep it off for the rest of your life? And I make them say that to me. And all of them are going to say what? They're all going to say to you, I want to keep it off for the rest of my life. Very few people say like, oh, I don't give a shit. Just give me the 30 pounds. Some might. And then whatever by that means you can play the card where you restrict calories, do cardio, do all that shit, and then they're going to get fat afterwards and warn them what's going to happen. but it's setting that table at the very beginning of what they're going to anticipate, how challenging it is, how important it is that we create these behaviors one thing at a time and we add on it, and then simplify and meeting them like Sal said. And some people you're going to get as clients, you're going to be able to hand them like 3 or 4 things. You're going to be able to say, okay, we're going to address fiber, we're going to address sugar, we're going to bump up your protein intake. I also want you to get 8,000 steps a day and follow this program.
Dream clients.
Right, and they're going to execute, and those are the ones that everybody as a trainer gets those ones results because they follow anything you say. The ones that what'll make you a great trainer is getting the other ones. The ones that are a pain in the ass, that just have no consistency, no discipline, that do it for a little bit, then fall off and then flake. And so those ones, the key as your trainer, back to Sal's point, is just finding out who they are, where they are on that spectrum. Can they only handle one fucking little thing? Like, I just need you to walk, X amount of steps every day. Let's start there.
I literally had a client once just literally read 1 page out of a nutrition book once a week. That's where we could start. All right, just read 1 nutrition article a week. I'll send it to you. Let's just agree with that. That's where we started. Sometimes it takes a long time.
I'm Lauren. I've
Hi,
been
Lauren.
listening to you guys for about 2 years.
Cool. All right.
And I just found you on iTunes.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Awesome.
My question is, what is a difficult situation that you guys have gone through that you are now grateful for, looking back on it?
In life or since the podcast has started?
Just in general.
Okay.
In life.
Boy, it's funny. All difficult situations I've been through, I am grateful for because difficulty is what fosters growth. Real growth, you need the motivation of difficulty. Like, what's that one quote? The flower, and then the pain of not blossoming became greater than the pain of blossoming, so the flower blossomed or something like that. That's not what it was.
Really
but
just like that.
Anyway, you guys get the point.
I totally don't get the point.
The cocoon was necessary for the butterfly.
Damn, did I just do a ramp water?
Yeah, that was a ramp water.
Doug, if you could find that quote for me, I swear to God. Anyway, in other words,
look up all flower quotes, please.
I like that.
The pain of remaining in a bud became anyway. The point
I'm
is
still confused.
The point is challenge and difficulty is what it's really what fosters real growth because it's so uncomfortable, so painful that you either die or you grow. There's a lot of times I could quote one. That's probably most relevant to to fitness was when my body really just rebelled on me. There it is. And the day came when the risk to remain tight in the bud was more painful than the risk it took to blossom.
Yeah, close.
There you go.
All right.
Anyway, when my body rebelled on me,
I get it.
I was, I don't know how old I was, probably 29, 30. And I had identified so strongly with my body, being strong, muscular, whatever. I was a trainer, had been a trainer up at this point for 12 years or whatever. And I thought I had an autoimmune issue at this point. I couldn't contain any food in my body, lost about 15 pounds, was weak, tired. I thought I was eating healthy. I was eating my chicken breasts and my whole wheat and all that stuff. I was working out, and here I was withering away, feeling terrible. Still had clients. People are asking me what's going on, going to doctors. No one can figure it out. And at this time, I had my wellness studio, and I had 2 very smart wellness experts or individuals that worked with me, and they were very different from me. I was the trainer. I was the build muscle, burn body fat. And they were the esoteric, meditate, gut health, wellness type people. And here I was, and I finally gave in. I couldn't handle it anymore. I sat them down. I'm like, I need your help. I have no answers. I don't know what's going on. And so they said, okay, we're going to do gut testing. We're going to do an elimination diet. You're going to start to meditate. You're going to change your workouts. You're not going to do the super intense workouts anymore. We're going to lower your protein intake because you're eating insane amounts of protein. Eliminate all your supplements. At this point, I was addicted to them. And I did that. It took a year. It was very, very difficult. I had to completely change my approach to everything. In fact, the way I got through it was to completely ignore how I looked. I actually stopped looking in the mirror because I'd identified so strongly with how I looked. And at this point, I had given in. I'm like, I just need to focus on my health. I didn't look at myself anymore. And I said to myself, I don't care. I don't care what the end result of this is. I just need to be healthy because this is absolutely terrible. And I've talked about this on the show. There was one point where it was like a year later, and I had seen a reflection off of another mirror, and I had seen myself. And because it was from a weird angle, for a split second, I thought it was someone else. And I remember thinking and then I'm like, wait a minute.
He's sexy.
I look pretty good. And then for the first
Get
time
over here.
yeah, for the first time, I looked in the mirror. I'm like, holy shit! Like, I look better than I did before. And then it was like, oh wow! Like, being healthy made me look better than when I was just trying to look a particular way. And it was a huge, monumental moment. But it was a year of shit. Like, I'm serious. Like, I was so hyper reactive to certain foods. If a breadcrumb was on my food, that was it. I was fucked for a week. Like, if I missed sleep, I was fucked for a week. If I trained too intensely, I was screwed. It was a very difficult time for somebody that had identified so strongly. I mean, imagine if whoever you think you are, and that shit gets challenged. Like, you love running, and then you can't run anymore or whatever. Like, and so I'm very grateful. If it wasn't for that, I wouldn't be who I am today, and I definitely wouldn't be doing what I'm doing right now. 100%. I would still be that meathead. I would still be that guy talking about building muscle, macros, burning body fat. I would not be who I am today, and for sure wouldn't be able to impact people in the positive ways I think I can do it now.
Yeah, there's been a few examples. I mean, I've brought this up on other podcasts before, but for me, it was really my going to a school out in Chicago, and it sounds like kind of trivial, like it's not a big deal. For me, I had like this whole safety net. So I had all my friends, I had my family, had my girlfriend at the time, and I was just literally just trying to figure out who I was and like what I was all about. And this was one of those pivotal moments. I just knew internally I had to step out of my comfort zone and do something to find who I was. And I didn't want to do it. And so I stayed for 2 years in San Jose and tried to go to school, tried to make this relationship thing work with, my girlfriend at the time who was at Cal Poly, and I was like going back and forth, like obsessing over, trying to make it work. And like this long distance relationship was just ridiculous. It was like stupid that I was like trying to hang on to that. And so I just decided, I was like, like I'm out of here. Like, I'm just going to go. I'm going to do something that like is shocking to my parents. It's shocking, to my girlfriend at the time, like my friends. I'm leaving everybody. I'm out. And I had the opportunity. I had somebody that was recruiting, and I gave him a tape, and he's like, yeah, we got a spot for you out in Chicago. And I was like, oh shit, Chicago. I know nothing about Chicago. I go out for a trip, and the weather was great. It was like 70 degrees, no humidity. It was like a total facade. Like there was like, I had no idea what I was in for. And I say that like everybody scoffs because we're like from California and like there's no real weather concerns here. But I went there and it was like 30 below. And it's 30 below, and I'm like, I have no friends, and I'm trying to like reinvent myself.
Isn't this when your girlfriend broke up with you?
And she broke up with me, and I'm listening to a lot of Stained at the time, and so there was some tears, and I'm not proud of that, but it was like challenging. It was like it took me a while to get outside of my shell. Even like I didn't want to hang out with anybody. I was like a hermit there for like the first year. I was just like, no, I'm just going to work. I'm going to work, and finish school and become like, at the time I wanted to be a physical therapist. And so I was like learning to do that. And I had to work on getting outside of my comfort zone and introducing myself to people I didn't know and doing things that, just really were outside my character. And I had to like, build upon that. And so that was the catalyst for where I am today. Like it obviously, it ruined my relationship, which was great. Like I'm super glad that didn't work out in hindsight. But all these things, like I needed to do that. I needed to find out who I was, and that was really hard. And and I'm really thankful that I just decided that was the right thing to do, and I went with it. So.
I answered this on an interview that I did recently, and what I told him was that it was my childhood. So for me, and we don't talk a lot about it on the show, mainly because I don't like to, because I never want people to think that I feel sorry for myself. Nor do I ever want people to think that I don't think that there's people that have been through way more shit than I have. Like, I know that I probably had it on easy street compared to a lot of kids. But those that don't know, my father committed suicide when I was 7. My mom remarried into an abusive relationship that she carried on for the remainder of the time that I would be in the house. And I carried a lot of animosity through my 20s towards her because of that. In my 30s, I'm grateful and I would never change it, looking back now. Now, when I see the path that I took and what that did to me as a kid and how it changed me as a man and a grown-up, 100% I wouldn't change a single thing, because the way I look at it, and when Juan came up and asked about TED Talk stuff, and I mentioned that maybe I would talk about fear. Like, the way I look at fear is so different than a lot of people, and I probably would attribute that to how I grew up. At that age, to see the things that I saw, to be a part of those things at that young of an age. And at that age, you don't know any better. You just assume, and your parents tell you things like every family has problems. We're normal. So when I got older and, things would be tough, like I would try something and fail, or, I would, start a new business and not be good at it, or try a sport and not be good at it. Like, that was no big deal to me. Like, I can't relate to somebody who just gets defeated by things so easy, because I grew up as an underdog for so long, and it forced me to thrive in that environment. And I know that it's forged me into the man that I am today. So as dark as it is and as painful as it probably was, I 100% wouldn't go back and have it any different. And now, like, my relationship with my mom, I think, is incredible, because I do. I think that she did the best that she could with the tools and the resources that she had. She had me at 20 years old. She came from a very nasty, broken home. And so the behaviors that she learned, and she was married by the time she was 16 years old. So married by 16, have me by 20, father commits suicide. 7 years later, she's 26 going on 27 years old, trying to raise 2 kids, like trying to make ends meet. Found the first man that probably came into her life to kind of help her out. He so happens to be an asshole and in an abusive relationship, and then took us along for the ride. Not meaning, and not thinking, and I think I thought she was very selfish as a teenager going through, and so that animosity was there. But now looking back today, I go, man, like the things, being the oldest of 5, probably turned me into the leader that I am today. The way that I look at fear, the way that I look at adversity, none of that shit would have happened if I hadn't gone through all of that stuff as a kid, because then I would have looked at everything else, every other challenge that has hit my life. I probably would have looked completely different at that had it not been for that time.
Hi, I'm Lindsay.
Hi, Lindsay.
And I've been listening for about 2 years. The year I graduated high school, actually, which was 2 years ago.
Oh, cool. Wow.
And Lauren, my sister, introduced me to you guys.
Awesome.
So my question is, you kind of alluded to it a little bit, but what are some of your biggest fears, and how have you been able to overcome them or face them?
Oh, gosh.
Well, mine's kind of pretty obvious. Like, I am
peeing in public.
afraid of, yeah. That's one.
He's not afraid of that.
Spiders, I was going to say. Besides that, yeah, just like speaking in front of people has always been a massive fear of mine. Like, it's just public speaking. I know, like, Sal threw the statistic out there, like that's like a pretty popular fear for a lot of people. And every time we do these events, it's great for me because a lot of people can relate to that. And it's not easy. It's not an easy process for me to articulate what I want to say all the time, to be able to really even like have opinions all the time. A lot of times I like to listen and then come up with formulate my own opinion as the conversation progresses. And so a lot of people in the beginning thought that, I was afraid to talk, and it wasn't as much about that as to find the timing, find the rhythm, find, where I can insert something that was of value, or, something that was like ridiculous or funny or whatever. Like, I've never had a problem with entertaining people or like being silly or doing things like that, but like to capture a crowd and teach them something, and that always scared the shit out of me. I don't know why. It's just one of those things that never came naturally to me. So I've had to work my ass off to just get in front of people and own it and know that nothing is going to come out exactly the way that I want to say it, and that's okay. And I can just keep talking and get better at it as I keep the reps happening and as I keep communicating with these guys and surrounding myself with people that are good at that. It comes naturally. So yeah, that's been one of my biggest things I've faced, which is it's pretty silly, but like I've had moments growing up where I've had to talk in front of class. And so like, going through elementary school, I know a lot of people have had to present something in front of class, like a project. And I remember, I think distinctively, it was like 4th grade where I was supposed to demonstrate something. Like it could have been anything. It could have been like throwing a ball or whatever. And I just couldn't come up with a concept. And my mom's like, why don't you teach them how to cook like bake these cookies? And I'm like, I don't know how to bake cookies. It's like, it's fine. It's easy. Here's a recipe. Just teach them. And I'm like, okay, I'll go with this. And I bombed. Like I forgot everything she told me, like everything. And I stood up there and I fucking froze. And I was just like, I was stiff and I didn't know what to do. And this happened a couple times. Like even in college, I had to present a massive project to everybody and I froze. And it still sticks with me. Like I didn't know how to get out of it. And it's crazy. It's like choking me up. But yeah, it was crazy. So this has just been like a process of like, oh shit, like I have to get better at this. So that's crazy. Like I couldn't tell you that this is like would ever be my job now, but it's cool. So
definitely, it's cool watching you do it too.
Yeah,
that's for sure. I think saying the wrong. Right now, my biggest fear is saying the wrong thing to our audience, and what I mean by that is like conveying a piece of information that does harm to somebody. So if I say something about an exercise or nutrition, or I recommend a supplement, and it takes somebody down the wrong path or hurts them, that really scares me. There's a lot of responsibility, I think, that comes with knowing that people are listening. I remember it used to give me anxiety when we first started the podcast, and I'd listen to the episodes, and and Doug would be like, "Oh, we got 500 downloads, or we got 1,000 downloads." I'm like, "Oh shit, 1,000 people heard what I had to say," and I'd hear what I say, and I'd be like, "Oh my god, I hope I communicated that right, or I hope I'm telling them to do the right thing, and I hope it helps them. I hope I'm not doing the wrong thing or saying the wrong thing." That really freaks me out. Like I want to make sure I say the right thing and I lead people in the right way. I think it keeps me humble, or at least it attempts to keep me humble with some of the things that I say. But there's definitely a lot of responsibility with communicating certain things. I can definitely be fearful, believe it or not, of talking in front of groups. I actually do a lot better talking on camera or on the microphone when I know that there's people out there. But being in front of people sometimes can make me nervous. But yeah, it's just I want to make sure that I say the right things on the podcast, lead people the right way, and I don't cause anybody harm. Those are my biggest fears right now.
I don't really think I have too many fears, or I don't have a biggest fear, I should say, because I kind of look at all fear the same way. I think people assume that I have this natural ability to be on the podcast or do things in front. Like I have all those same fucking fears and nerves like that. I just reframe it. So, and I've done a lot of different shit. I've done all kinds of things, and anything that you ever do for the first time and you've never done it, there's always a little bit of fear there. And maybe people feel a greater fear when they're doing it on a stage in front of lots of people. But because I don't judge myself and I kind of look at all fear at all kind of the same in the same light, like it's okay, this is the first time I'm doing this. And I think that I accept, like, I'm probably going to suck. I'm probably going to fall. This is probably going to hurt. People are probably going to laugh at me. People are probably going to make fun of me. Like, I know that's all. So I anticipate all the potential worst case scenarios that could happen, and I get at ease with it. What's the word? Someone's going to make fun of me because I made up a word? Fuck you. You get up here and do this. You know what I'm saying? Like that's my attitude at almost anything that I approach. Now, again, that's probably stemmed from the childhood stuff, right? Like, because then I probably did cry and get scared and had all these issues and shit like that as a young kid. But the more times that I faced these situations where we feel fear, what I connected really early was the greater the fear and the scarier that it was, holy shit, the more rewarding it was on the other side. You know, what's that quote? On the other side of fear resides success, right? So I then started to chase those moments. Like, ooh, I'm scared to do that. Ooh, maybe I should do that. You know, like even hearing Justin talk about the F16, like, ooh, that sounds even scarier than what I thought it was. Like, it doesn't scare me away from doing it. Like, I think that once you make peace with all the worst outcomes and you're completely okay with that, to me, all fear is the same.
That's a stoic practice. Do you know that? Stoicism, I think that's like one of the top practices is to like play out the negative scenarios,
visualize all the
make peace with them, and then you're okay.
Yeah, and so I don't have a biggest, the first day of this I was nervous as fuck. We were drinking. I think I listened back. I'm like, oh my God, we were terrible. The first time I had to do YouTube, oh my God. The first time I had to stand up in front of a crowd of people and speak to them, oh my God. Moving to a new city, not knowing any kids, oh my God, that was crazy. First time I ever picked up a basketball and tried to dribble it and play kids, oh my God. First time I wakeboard, snowboard, like anything that I've ever done, there was always that moment of fear before I made the decision to do it. But when you make peace that, I might fall down, I might get teased, I might not be very good at it. I might have to try a lot at it. And I actually embrace that. I think it's, and I like things that are more challenging, that are more fearful, because I know the process to overcome. It's like even the way I approach swimming right now. I mean, I'll call someone out like a Ben Greenfield, like I'm going to get you. Like by no means should I be able to beat him, right? I mean, but I embrace that. And I could easily, talk some shit on here, go out there and get my ass whooped in the pool, and then everybody tease me and make fun of me. Oh, he's so cocky. Look, he got it. Like, what is the worst that's going to happen? And I enjoy the process of working towards that goal to overcome that, no matter what the outcome is.
Excellent. And with that, go to mindpumpfree.com, download any of our guides for free. We got a lot on there. You can also find us on Instagram. Justin is at mindpumpjustin. You can find me at mindpumpsal.
Follow me.
And Adam is at mindpumpadam.
Thank you for listening to Mind Pump. If your goal is to build and shape your body, dramatically improve your health and energy, and maximize your overall performance, check out our discounted RGB Super Bundle at mindpumpmedia.com. The RGB Super Bundle includes MAPS Anabolic, MAPS Performance, and MAPS Aesthetic. 9 months of phased expert exercise programming designed by Sal, Adam, and Justin to systematically transform the way your body looks, feels, and performs. With detailed workout blueprints and over 200 videos, the RGB Super Bundle is like having Sal, Adam, and Justin as your own personal trainers, but at a fraction of the price. The RGB Super Bundle has a full 30-day money-back guarantee, and you can get it now, plus other valuable free resources at mindpumpmedia.com. If you enjoy this show, please share the love by leaving us a 5-star rating and review on iTunes, and by introducing Mind Pump to your friends and family. We thank you for your support, and until next time, this is Mind Pump.